Got it out, I said it all. The weight is off my chest. Now I lie my head down. I hope to dream of you, to meet you in my sleep, so that when I wake up, I'll recognize you as the one. Close my eyes and there you are. Looks like you're waiting patiently. You turn around and start to walk towards me. You put your arms around my neck, then you look into my eyes. But before our lips touch, I realize it's all fictional. This dream that I've been having, and you were irresistible. All I can hope is that you're real, and that you were meant for me. I try to fall asleep again to see if you will reappear, 'cause your voice is all I want to hear. Put your arms around my neck, and then you look into my eyes. But before our lips touch, I realize it's all fictional. This dream that I've been having, and you were irresistible. All I can hope is that you're real, and that you were meant for me. Are you for real? I know your face, and I have felt your touch, but it leaves me the moment I wake up. I got it out, I said it all. The weight is off my chest. Now I lie my head down. I hope to dream of you, to meet you in my sleep, so that when I wake up, I'll recognize you as the one. Close my eyes and there you are. Looks like you're waiting patiently. You turn around and start to walk towards me. You put your arms around my neck, then you look into my eyes. But before our lips touch, I realize it's all fictional. This dream that I've been having, and you were irresistible. All I can hope is that you're real, and that you were meant for me. try to fall asleep again to see if you will reappear. 'Cause your voice is all I want to hear. Put your arms around my neck and then you look into my eyes. But before our lips touch, I realize it's all fictional. This dream that I've been having, and you were irresistible. All I can hope is that you're real and that you were meant for me. Are you for real? I know your face and I have felt your touch, but it leaves me the moment I wake up. There's this infirmity I have that keeps my lips shut, like a needle with thread to my mouth, keeps me all shut up. But I don't wanna have to wait, I wanna be able to say that you're the one for me. You don't know what's going on inside my heart and my mind, always been so shy, you know. And you wonder why I don't open up my mouth. Babe, I don't know the reason why I can't seem to get any of these words out. Babe, I just don't know. So now there's this problem that exists every time I see you. I just wanna say what's on my mind, but don't have the guts to. So you go walking right along as I stand here wondering what is going on inside your head. You don't know what's going on inside my heart and my mind, always been so shy, you know. And you wonder why I don't open up my mouth. Babe, I don't know the reason why I can't seem to get any of these words out. Babe, I just don't know. Wanna open up my mouth so I can ask you out. 'Cause there's some things that I can't do alone. A dinner for two, a movie with you. Well, it ain't the same by myself. And you wonder why I don't open up my mouth. Babe, I don't know the reason why I can't seem to get any of these words out. I don't know. And you wonder why I don't open up my mouth. Babe, I don't know the reason why I can't seem to get any of these words out. Babe, I just don't know. There's this infirmity I have that keeps my lips shut, like a needle with thread to my mouth, keeps me all shut up. But I don't wanna have to wait, I wanna be able to say that you're the one for me. You don't know what's going on inside my heart and my mind, always been so shy, you know. And you wonder why.
What is up, my friends? That intro is very confusing, I'm sure. Now streaming Final Fantasy VII Remake. We're not streaming that tonight. When I made that intro, I was like, this will be our playthrough series. So everyone will know we'll be playing one game, which is Remake, and I just don't have to make another intro video. But Wednesdays are the crazy streams where we just talk about my friend's band. What's up, guys? Yeah, I should probably get 2 different intro videos for the different streams that we do. But no big deal. How's everyone doing? We got Steed in the chat. We got Javier. We got Jolie distracting me. Just kidding, Joe. Jose's here. Doomed Timeline 7 Part 3 is here, aka Biggles. Deftonia's here. Zage is here. Good to talk to you guys. Ernest AI is back. Did you know the Velociraptor had feathers, but they didn't know that when they made that in Jurassic Park? Dinosaur facts. Yeah, too bad. Too bad those don't hold up historically, right? I always tell my kids, I'm like, check out those chicken feet, man. Those are like dinosaur feet. If you looked at chickens, man, they're like, looks like a Velociraptor. What's up, Tony Macaroni? Tony Macaroni is here. Dude, Tony, I always see your commenting in other streams when I'm going in and chatting with them. I love Tony. Good to see you, Tony. Thanks for hopping in. See, Steed knows you. Steed knows the people in the community. So what are we doing today, guys? Yeah, Steed says, I love how all the Final Fantasy VII streams audiences overlap. Well, we can't get enough, right? We're just dying for that Part 3 news. So what do? We just Stockholm Syndrome ourselves in a like infinite time loop where we just, bounce around all the different creators. And as long as we just keep saying Final Fantasy enough, it'll happen, right? They'll just give us it. Some people are getting their hopes up for another, like there's a rumored State of Play by Nate the Hate. He was saying that it might come out soon, and people are like, Part 3. And I'm like, don't get your hopes up for State of Plays, guys. They're going to reveal it at Summer Games Fest. That's what's happening. I just know it. I don't really know, but yeah, everyone is everywhere all the time, says Steed. We just cling to anything. We're manifesting it. Well, let me know if anything's echoing. I'm trying something out. Shout out to Alyssa, because she's always supporting the stream. And last stream when Jolie and I were playing, they were giving us guff for not having a stream deck. So, look, guys, we're official. We're a nerdy streamers now. We have a Elgato stream deck. Hashtag not sponsored by Elgato. He says, honestly, that Edge of Creation meme is top 5 Final Fantasy VII memes I've ever seen in my life. Yeah, if you guys have seen that, someone like edited the words to like Cloud and Sephiroth talking about when Part 3 will be announced, and it's hilarious. But yeah, so don't get your hopes up, guys. Just when the news comes, it comes, right? But what do we have on the agenda tonight? Let me see if this works. Yeah, okay. So tonight, I was going to go over a little bit of the Final Fantasy news. You guys probably are all up on this, but it might be kind of fun to talk about. Square Enix was Metacritic's #1 ranked publisher last year, which is hilarious because they didn't really put out a ton of new games. But that's okay. We like to see Square on top, because if Square's on top, then they're feeling good about themselves, and hopefully they funnel all that money and goodwill into the games that we do love, right? Javier says, does that deck guarantees no more errors, Spencer? No more terrible pulls? No, I haven't even programmed it yet. That's just what it looks like out of the box, so it's not going to be good. But yeah, so I want to go over a few things tonight. We'll just talk about some news, but the real highlight of tonight is we're going to be reacting to Steed's latest video. This is Steed right here, and then his lovely wife. I didn't know if she said her name in the video. I just know that it's, his wife's honest thoughts about Final Fantasy Remake and Rebirth, and I loved the video, Steed. I have to say, it was awesome. So shout out to you for making it. It's so funny how we work so hard on content where we're pulling B-roll, and you did pull B-roll for this video, but we're thinking of analyzing stuff, and then sometimes the best content is just where you sit down and you talk with the another person, and they give their honest thoughts. So I had a really good time with this, and the reason why I probably relate so much is because I'm like your wife. I am a newcomer to the series, and I have so many questions that were so similar to hers, so I was relating with her constantly throughout the video. But I know that a lot of people in our audience probably has, way more history with the series, and I like getting their perspective, but I also, I hear those perspectives a lot, so it was really fresh hearing from your wife, which is awesome. Steve says, "Who the heck is that?" It's you, man. And your family. It's awesome. Well, anyway, thanks for making that, man. We'll go over that. We'll react to it. If you guys haven't seen it yet, I have it linked in the description of the YouTube video if you guys want to watch it yourself. We won't go over the whole thing. It's an hour and 48 minutes, but it's pretty awesome. So anyway, it's kind of, I kind of want to go over it and then talk about if we think that, if things are making sense in the remake. And then I like kind of Steed's wife's thoughts about how they have a moment where they're talking about, like, do you think they'd go to such great lengths to do some crazy shenanigans and different timelines and multiverses and, sequel stuff if, they were going to make it super complicated? And she's like, Occam's razor would say that they wouldn't do that. But, the one thing I would push back on your wife, though, is that Square does a lot of crazy things. So you never can know. But anyway, Tony Macaroni says, I think you're an OG player. If you're an OG player, you're having even more questions by now. Laugh out loud. Totally, man. But yeah, no, not a problem, Steed. I'm happy to do it. This was something that I want to do. And then at the end, if I can stomach it, I have my Nintendo Switch here, and we can attempt to boot up the OG Final Fantasy and see if I don't get repulsed by it. I know that sounds weird, but I don't have the nostalgia for the series. So going back to an NES game, I played NES growing up. I'm not saying I don't like NES games, but I don't know if we'll have to boot it up and see what it's like. But if we get there. So anyway, that's kind of what's on the menu for tonight, which is kind of exciting. But anyway, let's see how we do this. Some of the things I wanted to go through, I just bookmarked a few things on Twitter. Let's see here. Yeah, this is the Metacritic one. This is from BGC. This is the funniest thing. I hadn't pulled up like a website in so long. So when I pull this up, look at all the ads that are just going to bombard us with our screen. It's just like unbelievable. Like all the motion stuff, go here, and then we're going to get all these other pop-ups. Best Buy. It's just everywhere, man. So, and you can't maybe we can zoom away from them. Skip ad. Look at that. It's just out of control. I have to exit all these things. So anyway, don't fear the pixels, Spencer. I'm not anti retro game. I know that retro game has lost all its meaning. I'm not against pixel art. I grew up playing the NES. I have fond memories of it, but I'm not saying I don't think that Final Fantasy the original is known for being totally accessible. But anyway, Biggle says they need to start naming future Octopath games Final Fantasy instead. Yeah, totally. Just throw it in there, man. Just name them Final Fantasy. Sure. Okay. Look at how obnoxious those are. This is gonna sound weird, but I'm not I don't have ad blocker installed for a reason. I just like to. Whoa, Steed, bribing for nice comments about my hair. Oh, that's Steed 27. It's wait. It looks different. It's from a different. Okay, well, your hair is amazing. If I know who this is talking, I believe this is Steed's lovely wife. I don't know your name, so I'll just call you Steed's wife unless you want me to call you something else. But your hair is very pretty and very curly and cool. So shout out. Or it's Steed talking about his lovely hair, right? Which would also be funny. Yeah, see, look. But anyway, so we'll get to it in a second, but I wanted to go over this just for a little bit. So let me read this article. This is by Andy Robinson. This is at videogameschronicle.com. And you guys know about this. You probably heard the news, but if you didn't hear it, Square Enix was ranked Metacritic's #1 ranked publisher last year. thanks to 9 good games, right? And this is the first time this has ever happened for Square Enix. But in its 16th annual game publisher rankings published on Wednesday, Metacritic revealed that the Final Fantasy publisher was ranked above every other company based on its point system. It's the first time Square Enix has been ranked number 1 in the annual publisher rankings, according to the site. Square Enix released 9 games in 2025 and all had positive aggregate review scores. The average Metacritic for the publisher was 84, which is like kind of a big deal. And I know this kind of seems kind of dumb, but publishers and developers weigh review scores on Metacritic way higher than I think that they should. But it's like, so this is like a big deal. Even if like we think it's like whatever, it's very, 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 very important for publishers to be seen on Metacritic. As they'll go as far as like giving bonuses to developers if they hit a certain Metacritic score. There's all these sorts of things like, depending on the Metacritic score, like bonuses will be given. Not just like to the developing team, but then they'll say like it'll help you greenlight another game or yada yada yada. It's just like they really really weight a Metacritic scores a lot, right? Javier says that's why I use Brave browser, Spencer, so I don't deal with ads. Yeah, okay. I'm just being lame and using Chrome here. Square's highest rated game was Final Fantasy VII Rebirth's PC version, which is hilarious. So you'll notice something about the games that came out. Which has a Metacritic score of 90. Other notable releases were Final Fantasy Tactics, The Evil East Chronicles, which we played together. That was our first stream, and loved that game. Dragon Quest 1 and 2 HD 2D Remake got an 88, and Octopath Traveler 0 got an 84. A variety of Final Fantasy and Dragon Quest titles have scored for the publisher last year, and also in early 2026. While even its worst 2025 release, Saga Frontier 2 Remastered, earned approval from critics, Metacritic said. So, like, even their worst score wasn't terrible. And most of them are just remakes or remasters of certain games. So it's like you have a remaster of Chronicles. You have a PC port of, not the Evil East Chronicles, but I'm talking about Final Fantasy Tactics. And then you have a PC port of Rebirth. And then you have, I guess you could say, like, so, but I don't know if Octopath Zero is like their one original game, right? Yeah, Valentine's right. So that's like the one game I think is a original game, but then the rest are a lot of remakes and remasters. The most weight was given to the average Metacritic score for each publisher's game, but the percentage of scored titles with good reviews, score of at least 75. The percentage of scored products with bad reviews, 49 or lower, and the number of great games released, 90 or higher, were also taken into account. So, yeah, I looked at the main list. It's so funny because you think of like Sony being like a huge hitter, right? And Nintendo and Xbox, these, the console manufacturers, but then you get into Capcom and Ubisoft, and you've got people like Bandai Namco, and you kind of look at the people that were in the top, and it's like surprising the people that you would think would be up there are not, because some of the lower stuff drags them down. But shout out to Square Enix. This is probably huge for them. I don't think it means a ton, to be honest with you. I think it's like, okay, this is cool, but I think they just try to take this goodwill and throw it into, the momentum going forward, because Square Enix is kind of in like a rebuilding phase right now, right? So yeah, and only publishers with 5 or more distinct titles that were released in 24 were eligible. In recent years, Sega 2025, Capcom 2024, Sony 2023, and Microsoft have topped the Metacritic publisher rankings. This is some of the top 10 right here. So Square Enix, right? Last year they were 6. Maybe they tied with Gamir Games. I don't know that. But then we know Capcom, Thunderful. Some of these are like more independent or smaller ones. Take-Two and Microsoft are big ones. Sega, Electronic Arts. Electronic Arts had like Battlefield, and Microsoft had a lot of like solid releases actually, but you don't see Sony, you don't see Nintendo, you don't see some of those guys, right? Yeah. Google says, yeah, I don't know what people are complaining about. A win is a win. Right, like I don't like, there's a lot of qualifiers. It's like, well, Square didn't, it's all these remakes and remasters, but hey, if the games they're putting out are, landing with people, that's good, because we need the company to do well in order to give us the titles that we like, right? So anyway, thought that was interesting. I don't know what you guys think, but what's up, Dan? MCG. They need cash to hire child actors. That's very true. They need to get to the top of the Metacritic rankings so they don't have to, keep hiring these. Keep hiring these. What is it? Keep hiring these adults for these children. Jolie just would totally be that. Steve says, I'm actually surprised CEA ranks so low. Let me see here. This one, they had some bangers because they had Split Fiction. A lot of people don't realize that EA is like Hazelight Studios, the guys that did Take Two, It Takes Two, what was it? They're A Way Out and Split Fiction. It's those co-op games with Joseph Fares is like the director of that studio. They always get really high reviews, and then they are part of EA, but then they had Battlefield and they had a bunch of, like, all their sports games do really well. So it makes sense kind of why they're up there, but it's surprising, like Steed said, that they, weren't in the top 5 after having like such a big year, right? This is the first time Battlefield beat Call of Duty, which is a huge deal. But yeah. Let's see here. I mean, if they were still making good sports games, you said, which they are not. So yeah, I haven't played a sports game in so long. I used to play them all the time, but I don't play them anymore, which is maybe a sad thing. But I grew up playing like Madden with my brother and, FIFA when it was the thing. But I've never touched them when it was like the gambling card packs or whatever. Okay, let's see here. So this one right here, this is another article. Let's see if I remember pulling it up. It's by Muhammad Ali Bari. It's like Twisted Voxel or something. Let me see if we can find it. Muhammad, yeah, that's what I searched it here. Yeah, it's Twisted Voxel. No, it's this one right here. So this is another article that was kind of interesting. So I don't know if you guys remember, but when we were talking about like the Game Awards a while ago, and I think we talked about it on our podcast, Hamaguchi goes and they brought like a lot of the team and they had the voice actors at the Game Awards, right? And let's pull up Metacritic real quick. Metacritic, and let's pull up Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. Okay, it's at a 92. That's like an incredible score, right? For characters that like, or for video games that really want to hit like a 92. Above 90 is like a huge deal for people. What's up, Alicia? Oh, you didn't miss much. We're just going over some Final Fantasy news. We talked about how Square Enix was the #1 publisher last year. So, but yeah, so it's sitting at a 92 on Metacritic. That's like a huge deal. And the Metacritic score is so interesting because now that so many outlets have niche reviewers, they can like send their favorite, like, their Final Fantasy fan to go and review the Final Fantasy game, which is like not a bad thing because you want someone who knows what they're talking about when they give a review. But it makes me wonder, like, if we're siloing people into different camps, right? Because Final Fantasy VII Rebirth got such a crazy high review score. Or aggregate, right? So we had like an average of 145 critics here, and it's sitting at, like there's not even a single mixed review. They're all positive. And I'm not saying that like it was a bad game. I'm just saying it didn't like clean up at the Game Awards. And this article right here, from Muhammad Ali Bari at Twisted Voxel, they talk about how Final Fantasy VII Rebirth director shares how its performance at the Game Awards turned his watch party into a funeral. Now, for a little bit of context, apparently that's like was kind of like a joke. They said it in like a laughing way, but it's still kind of interesting. And I thought this article was very interesting, so we can kind of pop through it and talk about it. Steve says, also, this ties into a video probably, but I think Rebirth was an amazing game for regular heavy gamers, so still surprising. Yeah. Javier's talking to... you're talking about how I was playing a new song at the beginning of the stream. That's what you really missed out on, Alicia. Anyway, so yeah, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth director, co-director Motomu Toriyama has shared. Every time people say Toriyama, I just think of Akira Toriyama, right? I know it's another, but I'm like, oh, Toriyama. Has shared how the game's performance at the Game Awards turned the development's team watch party into a funeral unquote, right? During a special interview on the Square Enix Music channel, they just released, I think, the soundtrack, right, on some CDs. They're like kind of hyping it up lately. Final Fantasy VII Rebirth co-director Motomu Toriyama, music supervisor Keiji Karamori, and sound director, I'm gonna slaughter all these names, so I apologize, Makoto Issei, shared their thoughts on the game's acclaimed soundtrack and its reception at the Game Awards in 2024, which it did win the best soundtrack, right? Toriyama revealed that after Final Fantasy VII Remake won Best Score and Music at the Game Awards in 2020, the development team had higher hopes for Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. And this is a quote from them. This time, the team was like, it's going to win all the awards, said Toriyama. The optimism led the development team to watch the awards show live together, only to see Final Fantasy VII Rebirth repeatedly passed over in major categories. And so, like, this is what I'm talking about. When you have a review aggregate, site like Metacritic, and they give you a 92, like, basically they think everybody loves this game. Like, everyone loves it. So it's going to clean up, right? Spencer talked about shipping it. No, Roosevelt, I haven't talked about shipping. This is the stuff that with the video that we're going to watch, that Steed's video, he interviewed his wife, who's not like in the Final Fantasy VII fandom, so he like warned her about how people can be passionate in this community, right? And so she was like nervous to give her opinion, but she did a great job, so it was just hilarious. But and then Roosevelt's on here trying to get me to get into the deep end here with the shipping stuff. Javier says anytime now. Steed says my wife disagrees. Steed, if your wife is watching, or if you can ask her, you don't have to do this, but if it's like a gut check, she doesn't have to think about too much of it right now. You should just ask her if she had to give it a score, like Remake and Rebirth out of 10. What would she give it? I know that's asking a lot, and she doesn't have to do that because the internet is forever, and whoever watches this stream will pull it up. I'm kidding, but that's funny that she says she disagrees. Anyway, so like they were expecting that this was going to be like the biggest deal ever, right? 2020 won like a couple awards, and then they're like, oh, we did so much better in Rebirth. It got a 92 on Metacritic. Of course, it's going to win all the awards, right? But then this is what they're saying, that their optimism or whatever like turned. I don't say that as. The optimism led to the development team to watch the award show live together, only to see Final Fantasy VII Rebirth repeatedly passed over in major categories. As time went on, it kept being passed over, and our viewing party turned into a funeral. And then there's laughs, right? So they were laughing about it, but it's like, I don't know if that's the laughter of like, everything's fine, which is such a bummer that they felt this way, because the game is great. I mean, I love Rebirth. I think it has a lot of problems, but I think most of those problems are created because of the structure in which they're telling the story. The more I talk about this game and the more I analyze it as we go through it in our deep dives, is that this was a self-contained story in one game, and then they decided to split it up into 3 games. So the story was never meant to be, I guess, split up this way. So you don't really have like all the answers. And there's this big twist that happens in part 3, right? That's kind of core to the entire story. There's flashbacks and things that happen in the original game, that you just play through and then you finish and the story is complete. And you can kind of have like a sense of like, okay, that makes sense. But for someone like me and someone like Steed's wife who haven't played the original, we are waiting literally like 7 years to get answers to our questions. And I know that seems crazy. I mean, Steed's wife didn't play right when it came out. She just recently played Remake and Rebirth like a few months ago, or a few weeks ago even. Steve says she's not listening. She'll watch the VOD, but she said Remake 78 and Rebirth 73. Okay, so like we're, to video game, 70s are like terrible games, which are so funny. It's like, you gave it a 7? What a terrible game. But 78 and 73, respectable. Somewhat positive. Right on. But yeah, so anyway, what I was saying is that like you have like this story that's split up into 3 parts, and the way they've structured it, they want to like, I mean, it takes years to develop a game, but the story is not complete. So my biggest issue with Rebirth and with Remake is how the story is being told. It's interesting, but it feels like they're having to like arbitrarily put in story, not arbitrarily, but it's like they're forced to put in little breadcrumbs and things to pull us along, whereas like where they cut the story, I think in the original at the end of Midgard, they just go to the like, it's like, okay, like we're gonna go into the open world now. It's like there's no big Sephiroth fight, there's no big crazy like end game whisper shenanigans. That's all new, right? As far as I've been told. I haven't played the original, but it's like when you went and saw Lord of the Rings and you watched Fellowship of the Ring, it felt like a self-contained story because they knew what they were setting out to make. It's like, okay, this is a trilogy of books. Obviously, it tells a whole story, but like you have, like, you can watch Fellowship and feel like, okay, this is a good, you have a beginning, middle, and end. You have, the ramp up and the big climax at the end where you have the fight with Boromir, and then they like give you time to settle down, and then it's like they do have that little teaser of the Fellowship splitting apart and going their separate ways and whatever, but it works, right? And then you have Helm's Deep at the end of Two Towers, and then you have Return of the King, and it all ties it up together. But then with Remake and Rebirth, it's like they had to throw Sephiroth in earlier because it's like we got to have something, and this is me talking. This isn't necessarily I'm not attributing this to Steve's wife. We haven't even got to it yet. But for me, it was kind of like confusing because I'm like, okay, cool. Like I never played the originals. I didn't have an expectation as to like, I knew that Sephiroth, like I've been told that Sephiroth wasn't even there in the original, right? But it just kind of felt like they're like, this is the bad guy. Like we have to throw him in because we have to, right? And then at the end of Rebirth, it's like, well, we have to have another ending. So this is the bad guy. We're going to throw him in because we have to. And I think some people argue about, the gameplay loops and the towers and kind of the grindiness of the, navigation. I love all that stuff. It's fine. I'm here for it. It's cool. I think they could make quality of life much better about like the materia loadouts and like giving, especially newcomers like me, a lot less time in menus and trying to, switch around my party. And those are just like nitpick complaints. But like overall, I think Rebirth and Remake are phenomenal games. But to me, it's the story, it's the plot. This is the issue that I'm having with, the story or the games themselves, right? Because I love the combat. I'm enjoying myself. It's just this thing that's, not complete, and I'm waiting years and years for it to be done. So anyway, that's a long way of saying they thought it was going to do great because, of course, like the people that are reviewing this game love this stuff, They gave it a 92, but it makes me think that, like, because every review outlet is going to assign the RPG lover to go review it, they're going to be like, oh, I love this. And they probably have history with Final Fantasy VII because it's one of the most popular JRPGs of all time. So they're going to be like, this was great. And they already have a little bit of, understanding. I know that you guys would say that even the people that have played the OG are confused out of their mind, right? But I don't know, like it gets a little bit tricky for me to kind of keep following along because I don't have that nostalgia or understanding to pull me through. It's like for those of you that know the twist, right? And you can kind of see them foreshadowing it with Cloud. That's what I think is interesting in this video that we'll watch with Steed's wife because she doesn't really know it. I think like he's talked to her about some stuff. So we're not totally free because I talked to my wife about it and she's talked to Steed a lot about it. And I think Steed's favorite game is Final Fantasy VII. But Anyway, Biggles says Rebirth was my game of the year. That's all that matters. Biggles, you gave it the game of the year. Congratulations. Steed says, oh yeah, she's not listening. The NMCG says the root of the problem is the plan going in. Yeah. I mean, they planned to do it in separate chunks. That's the problem. It's like they knew what they were doing. It's just hard to like, even in films when you have, you have a story that carries on in later seasons or at later movies, it's still hard to like pull those people along, but film comes quicker. That's why everyone's complaining about Severance, right? It's like taking years and years to find out what happens, and people are like either losing interest or they have to rewatch the show. Even they complain about it, and games take longer than shows to be made, right? So yeah, Dan, I kind of agree, but I mean, they at least knew what they were doing before they set out on this project. Javier says the problem with Rebirth is OG straitjacket that always forces the game to stick to the nature of the original and doesn't work. It hurts it. I mean, like, I don't know, because there's the two camps that say like this is a reimagining. It's all going to be kind of back to what they're doing as of the remake. It's a remake, so it's going to stick to the original, and they're kind of hamstrung by that. But like some people would say, well, we don't want it to do anything different, so why would that be a thing that hurts it, right? I think they would argue all this Whisper shenanigans was unnecessary and we should have just done a retelling, right? But I think, and maybe Steve disagrees with me because this is kind of the argument of it being what is it, a sequel trilogy or whatever. I think it's unique in what it's trying to do, but if they end up not making any changes or not doing anything different, I feel a little bit gaslit. Because the whole time they're just saying like, there's these whispers and we change fate, and obviously we did something that would change something that happens. But then if it's just the same events as the other one, like I haven't even played the original, and I know that everyone's like it's in Cloud's head, and if you think it's a sequel, then you're stupid. But it's like, don't call me stupid because that just feels like you're gaslighting me. Because there's so many things that are happening in these games that are like, something could change. Even the end chirons when you beat the game, it's like the unknown journey continues. Why would they slap those text things at the very end of the game when you beat it to OG fans or new fans that are like, well, if it's the remake of a game that I know the story, so it isn't unknown. They're obviously trying to have their cake and eat it too. And so that's what always bothers me when the people that are so adamant that it's like, you're so dumb. Like, this isn't a trilogy or this isn't a sequel. It's just like, it's like, well, okay, that might be the case, but you cannot sit here and tell me with like a straight face that Square Enix isn't trying to have it both ways. You cannot tell me that, right? Because they are definitely trying to have it both ways. They put in plot ghosts and whispers, and they teach you all about how it's like trying to change fate. You have different characters like Biggs and Wedge and all these things. They don't die the same way they die in the OG, and we're supposed to just be like, oh yeah, like nope, it's all the same. It's going to be the same. It's fine. Like, oh, like the Whispers throw Wedge out a window. That didn't happen in the original, but he had to fall out out of something and die like he did in the original. And Biggs lives or doesn't live, and they are definitely doing something, right? And so that's what just drives me bonkers. Anyway, sorry, I'm getting crazy here. But anyway, so let me catch up on chat here. In 2028, it'll be interesting getting the perspective of someone who picks up and plays the whole trilogy in a month. Yeah, that's true. If they can just go through it all and it actually works, it'll be interesting because they don't have this long build up, right? He says, yeah, the 3-part split made it so much harder. Chuck Rose says, I was always getting shocked when you say you didn't play the OG. You sound like someone who knows everything already. Well, see, like, I have no idea what the events are going to happen in part 3. I don't even know where we're going to go. To put it, I like to tell people this. I played Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, and I had no idea what Junon was, the Sister Ray canon. I didn't know about the parade. I didn't know there was a thing called Under Junon. I didn't know that, like, I knew of Gongaga because my wife's a big Final Fantasy fan, and I think this is a lot of similarities with Steed videos because he's a huge Final Fantasy lore head, right? And then he's married to someone that he talks to. So Jolie would talk to me about it. I know the twist, so I'm spoiled on it, but I don't know like everyone talks about weapons. Like I thought like when people saw the weapons for the first time in Rebirth, I'm like, oh, that's what they look like. And everyone's like, those don't look like the weapons. I have no idea. I have no idea what they look like now. I think Ever Crisis spoiled like one of them, what it looks like, but I don't even know. I just know they've got like diamond and emerald or ruby. I have no idea what they are. I don't know what they look like. I don't know what their purpose is. So yeah, I mean, like, there's lots of stuff I don't know. I didn't know about the live stream sequence for a long time, but then the shippers got really mad at me because I had some thoughts about how Tifa was like not doing anything yet, and then they're like, she does everything. She's the most important thing of the whole, game, because the live stream sequence. So I'm learning about the live stream sequence through the shippers. There you go, Roosevelt and Javier. I talked about shippers for you, but I don't know about it through my own experience. So yeah, long and short of it, Choco Bros, I know of things, but I have no idea how they're going to do it. I don't know where we're going to go. I don't know what events happen in the game other than these big plot beats that have kind of been spoiled with me because I'm online a lot. Steed says, so yeah, I guess it allowed them to really deliver a good and objectively polished third game because that's what really matters. I hope they do it because I just feel like what your wife says, and we'll get to, is that she's like concerned about, she just wants her answers, or she wants her questions answered, and she says that Rebirth, didn't answer those questions. It just left her with more questions, and that's how I feel. I didn't feel like they didn't commit to anything in Rebirth. We just kind of went along a little journey, and then we learned about the world. We didn't like have any big consequential things. I know that the ending, Rebirth, or Aerith is dead or not dead or whatever. I don't know. Like, I think she's dead and Cloud's spacing out, but this is them sitting on the fence again. They're like, well, but there is that one scene where there was no blood, and there is that like rainbow timeline that she's alive. And if she's dead, but we're just gonna have her come back and fight with you anyway, I don't know. So spoilers, by the way. Sorry, I'm just going all over the place, but let's see here. Kind of skipping ahead. Lord of the Rings is also known as a quantity if everyone understood it. It was just a faithful retelling, totally. Toolman's here. Final Fantasy VII Remake, Trilogy is a game built for suspense. Lord of the Rings isn't written that way 90% of the time, which is cool. Yeah, I mean, like, there's that big twist in your OG, right? I know of the twist, so it's like the original game has this whole thing they're setting up as like everyone. I like hearing new players because I listen to a lot of newcomers to the series, and they're like, well, Aerith's death is the big like twist. You didn't expect it, but it's like, no, like there's a twist in Final Fantasy VII, and it's not Aerith's death. It's like, that was surprising for people who played it for the first time, and that's probably something that's like stuck with them the longest. But there's definitely some more, right? Steve says, so let me clear things up, Spencer. You don't know anything about the twist, right? No, I do. I do know what the twist is, I think. I don't know how it happens. I just know that, like, yeah, I mean, like, spoilers for Final Fantasy VII OG and what potentially could be in Part 3. So if you don't want to hear, all I know is that Cloud isn't who he says he is. That he thinks like he's like Zack. But they kind of hint towards that a little bit in Rebirth, because we keep getting, like, there's that scene in Nibelheim where first of all, he's like, oh, he's describing events in Nibelheim a certain way, but then later on, he's like, oh no, Zack was there, but he's remembering it wrong, and it's like something's wrong with him. And I know Hojo's involved somehow or something. That's like all I know. But I know that, like, I know, and I also know that, like, Cloud wasn't there. He was there, but he wasn't there. He wasn't who he said he was. That's all I know. So I know a lot, but I don't know how, like, the game plays out or how it gets to that point. Okay, so sorry, I was misattributing. Steve's favorite game is 8, though Remake probably ranks higher for me as it goes. Cool. So hey, 8, Joel, that was Jolie's first Final Fantasy. Alicia says, "Let Aerith live." Justice for Tifa. Oh, so you do know how to use that word correctly, because I said gaslighting. Yeah, that's the joke I said on Twitter, and everyone got mad at me. But like, in a way, Tifa kind of, he's like, Cloud. That sounded just like Britt Baron, right? When she's like questioning him in the inn under Junon, right? When she's like testing his memory, you know. I just put on Twitter, I was like, yeah, she's gaslighting him. I can't wait for him to like, for her to, to finally tell him the truth or whatever. Because I'm new and I don't know everything. And everyone's like, you're an idiot. Steve says, I can answer that, but the walls of text will crash your stream. Nice. Very, very good. Anyway, I will get back to this article. I promise. I didn't just talk about this for no reason. I know I'm getting off topic here, but Javier says, but the reimagining doesn't go full throttle because sticking to the OG doesn't allow it. So now new, but not really. It has an identity crisis. I totally agree with you, Javier. It's like I feel like in Remake, it's like they wanted to make a statement. They're like, we're going to do something different, you know? And that's why a lot of OG purists didn't like it, right? Because they're like, what the heck is this with the whispers and things aren't happening exactly the way that it happened in the original. And it wasn't just like a reimagining where they're shifting things around to make it like work better for a modern audience and like a modern video game. They were like literally doing things purposely, being like, oh, that one thing that happened, you know what? Like, we're going to make these Dementor plot ghosts change things in front of your eyes and tell you that like, oh, like we're purposely doing something different. That alone to me says like, well, okay, they're leaning into this hard. And it was the whole unknown journey continues or whatever it says at the end of Remake. And they have you do all sorts of stuff. But then in Rebirth, it was like, nah, just kidding. Like, we're not going to do that, but maybe we are. That's kind of like my review of the two games. Because they like, are they going to commit? So part 3 has a lot of answers, or a lot of questions that need answering, for me at least. So yes, Javier, I agree. Toolman says, Defy Destiny is written on the box. Defy Destiny. There you go. It says it right there. Yeah, it's like these are the arguments when people are saying like it's not. I can see how they could do it where it's not a sequel trilogy, right? I'm not totally bought in on that, but I'm also saying like I could see that being the case, or I could see it not being the case. But to me, it's like for those that are like it's gonna be the exact same, they're just reimagining it, and like you're seeing it from Cloud's perspective, so it's all gonna be the whole like once he figures out who he really is, they're gonna be like, nah, see, like nothing changed. Like, there's so many things about the whispers that are outside of Cloud's point of view and all these things that are happening that, to me at least, express, yeah, there is stuff going on with Cloud's head, but there is something totally different at work here. Valentien23 says, the fate-bending aspect is the end of the story, not the middle. Also, in my opinion, the end areas and how things roll out is what makes the game a classic. Okay, cool. So, like, that's the big thing is the ending and how things work out. So that's what makes it like an all-timer. Zage says, I'm of the mind that it's meant to be a sequel, but it's called a remake for a wider appeal, for accessibility. See, but then I think like Steed and them push back on this video. We'll get to it soon because this is more interesting. Roosevelt says, I sadly don't really care about this part of the conversation until part 3 comes out. I've been having this conversation for a bit of years. It just leads to a dead end. Spencer Redcliffe's read the cliff notes, yeah. Gosh, we're absolutely terrible gatekeepers, all of us, says Steed. Yeah, no, you guys are fine. It was only a matter of time, shipper combo. It's fine. To be fair, if you're taking the OG as a point of reference, the most compelling explanation is that it's all in Cloud's head. Except for that, in Rebirth, it's evident that some things aren't in his head only. Right, like, so that's fine. Like, if the OG is referenced, they're obviously doing things to lead up to that moment where Cloud is the unreliable narrator. I agree with you, Tony, but the problem is there's other things that they show us that are outside of Cloud's point of view that are blatantly changing from the original, from what I've been told, right? So to me, it's like, yes, that's true, and yes, we know that he's not telling us the correct events that have happened, but you can't tell the people that, you know, like Toolman said, it says right on the box, like, defy destiny. They tell you, Aerith Stetson gives you a speech. It's like, if we choose to like kill fate now or do whatever at the end of Remake, we're doing something that can change, you know. Like, they make it a huge point to tell you that that's like Aerith's speech has nothing to do with Cloud being an unreliable narrator, unless everything that we experience in the game is from Cloud's point of view. Because like Barrett's there, you know, Tifa's there, Red's there, you know, unless that speech was only in Cloud's mind, which I don't think that's how the game portrays it. So, yeah, sorry, Roosevelt, that we have to relitigate this, but this is just me going over it because, no Aerith gameplay in part 3 will be rough. I agree. Totally. Steve says, I love how we're all, including myself, are bashing the theory crafters. No, I mean, it's okay. I like the theory crafters, and I think you can't get mad at the theory crafters for a game like this. We've had 7 years, and they're purposely setting up, mystery boxes to be opened, so no one can get mad at the theory crafters, right? You can disagree with them, but just know that it's all in, good faith. I think so. I think you should. I don't think you should get mad at the theory crafters, even if you disagree with them. Javier says, so many rants and not a single rant cam, Spencer. I know, sorry. Don't you love this Twisted Voxel article? I'm just trying to get through chat here. But, so Roosevelt says, yeah, using gaslighting in your joke, which was the primary text, I don't think ever goes well with anybody, only when it's spoken. Yeah, I don't care. It's fine. If you know who I am, I'm teasing and, whatever. But people didn't know me on Twitter, so now they know me, and they just think I hate Tifa! She's fine. Javier says, first rule of Fight Club is that we don't talk about Junon. Nice. Tony Macaroni, did you watch Nanaki's summary of the remake? Are you talking about at the beginning of Rebirth when Nanaki does his little summary? But you can't say Nanaki. You got to say Red 13 because he did it in Red 13's voice. Me and Jolie have problems with the voice if you don't know already. I know it happened in the original Japanese. It's fine. Toolman says they are just foisting the questions from Remake's ending onto part 3. It wouldn't have killed them. Oh, sorry. They really just foisted the questions from Remake's ending onto part 3. It wouldn't have killed them to answer the biggest question in part 2 and let the excitement carry part 3. I don't know. I think they floundered a bit in Remake and in Rebirth, and that's what I'm getting to right here. When the dev team is sitting there saying it's a funeral because it got a 92 on Metacritic, but then they're saying nobody won the awards, because I think the average gamer, the people that like me who played this for the first time, are confused, and it's what the heck is going on? I'm excited for part 3 for those answers, but I'm excited just because I want relief. We all are exhausted with this conversation, right? Obviously it'll be fun and exciting, but there's definitely some, I don't know if cognitive dissonance is the word, right? But it's yeah, we like it, but they're not giving you the answers you're seeking. And I think they spent so much time in Rebirth just kind of floundering, and they didn't get to the point where it's they could have answered way more questions than they did, right? Anyway, so yeah. We will never get answers. They like the fans discussing years after the game is over. Hey, it's a brilliant marketing move, because we're all going to just talk about it until it comes out, right? Yeah, that's the point, says Tony. Totally. I mean, maybe that is the point, Tony. I will not fall to the bait, says Steve. Nice. Or so I'm telling myself. But all I'll say is that it's all in Cloud's head, has been used as a loose lube by people to describe that train of thought. I don't know if I'm saying that correctly, but I think it's a bit more than that, but it's also too complex to explain on text. Gotcha. Okay, cool. Well, I'll watch one of your videos when I've actually, Steve, it's so funny because I've been spoiled on so many things, but I purposely kind of don't dive deep into your lore videos because I'm trying to salvage whatever knowledge or first time experience I can have for part 3, without totally spoiling myself. But I'm sure when part 3 comes out, I'm just going to consume it all. Valentine says, Sleep Easy is the best theory crafter. He actually made me appreciate the entirety of the Final Fantasy VII world more because of how deep the game concepts. I really recommend his content too. Okay, cool. Yeah, I've seen him stream with subtext before, so I haven't watched any of Sleep Easy stuff, but I know that he's a theory guy. So anyway, Steed says, and there is also a lot of semantics issues going on. Sequel doesn't even mean the same thing within people who believe it is one. Gotcha. Okay, cool. Anyway, so I'll get to these chats, but my point in this article right here is that they're saying it's like a funeral. I do think that the majority, okay, games are tricky because there's 3 parts to me in a game. It's gameplay is king in games, right? Jolie would argue it's story is really important, but I'm story is king in stories. So like movies, anything that's like solely focused on that as a medium as telling a story, right? So a book, a movie, a TV show, those are essentially, you can watch visual effects and amazing things, but that's just to facilitate the story. I feel like video games are outside of that medium because they also stand alone on how they feel to play, right? And a story is just nice to have. So, famously, Miyamoto was like, when he was making Donkey Kong, I think he threw in Donkey Kong and like a girl that you saved, Pauline, and Jumpman Mario, right? And it was like the first time that there was like technically story in a game. But Nintendo famously doesn't really care about story in its games. It makes gameplay mechanics in a way that, people love and enjoy, and then the story is like secondary. And so I think Final Fantasy is unique in that way because they were like, we're going to tell an amazing story, but also have good gameplay, right? So I think it's very important. And I think this right here, whereas Rebirth is like getting great reviews, but I do think that it has like this like, it didn't resolve, like the music at the end of something, going back to the my friend's band, the track I was playing, it doesn't resolve because it goes into the next track. And if you don't play the next track, then it just ends on like a note that doesn't make you feel good. So I feel like part 3 will resolve Rebirth if they do it right. But if they don't do it right, then Rebirth just kind of stands alone as like this, like, and maybe I'm dumb, I'm new, so I don't see all the intricacies that you guys see. Sorry. But, for me, it just felt like Rebirth's ending was just like, oh, man, like you had an opportunity to commit to something and you're just sitting on the fence and it just feels like, blech, Anyway, the mood changed when Final Fantasy VII Rebirth ultimately won Best Score and Music, just like that, just like back in Remake in 2020. When it finally won for music, we were all ecstatic, Toriyama recalled. Instead of being disappointed or over missed opportunities, the team chose to celebrate its continued dominance of score and music category. In fact, Toriyama jokingly set a new goal of having the third and final entry follow suit. So yeah, they're hoping to win best score and music. I can't imagine them not winning. So yeah, according to the game's co-director, the development team guiding philosophy was to create music not just for cutscenes, but for exploration, dynamic gameplay scenarios, and even multi-phase boss battles, because this is what's happening in the story at this moment. I want the music to do this, he said, explaining his close collaboration with music supervisor Kawamori and sound director Issei. As a result, around 600 individual pieces of music were created for Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, which is insane, guys. Shout out to freaking these guys and the incredible composers at Square Enix and the Final Fantasy team. We didn't do it just for the cutscene, but for the gameplay following, he added. So anyway, very interesting, very cool. Yeah, sorry, I read all the chats with rant cam off, but this is kind of some of the latest Final Fantasy news. So shout out to Square Enix getting the #1 publisher. Sorry to the team when they kept losing awards. I do think it needs to answer those questions, and it can't just be mysteries anymore. I think that's why it lost at the Game Awards, to be honest with you. Let's see here. D. Garcia says, Ifrit Final Fantasy 16, the best. Totally. Javier says, can you make the text larger, Spencer? Oh, sorry. You just had to listen to my words. You wanted to read ahead? Yeah, I could have zoomed in, but I didn't. It was kind of a funky website. You guys are talking to each other. Steed says, but the explanation of the story itself, assuming it is what I personally believe it is, doesn't seem that complex to me. I would argue it's considerably simpler than Multiverse sequel. And this is what we'll get to. So this is what Steed is arguing, and kind of with his wife. It's kind of the Occam's razor explanation. We're overcomplicating thing, and the simplest explanation is the correct one. But yeah, Javier says, some of what someone said that Miyamoto has been, quote, he doesn't care for stories. He is not a story appreciation person. Yeah, that's true. Yeah. So anyway, but let's watch this video. Let me get this set up. Let me know if the audio works and we'll react to it. But this is Steed's latest video, and he interviews his lovely wife, and it's cool because she's a newcomer to the series. X-Saberface says Final Fantasy games in general have a higher standard of story to live up to, just from being a JRPG, I think. Because of that, I'm on board with Jolie being harsh on the missed story beats. Yeah, and like, just so you guys know, I know that we always say this, like, we criticize the game because when the story's not working for us, we'll talk about it, but it's not because we're not enjoying it. We just, totally what you said, like, Final Fantasy has this bar to reach. When you play like a Mario game, you're not expecting to go on this journey from like this storytelling perspective, right? You're going there to jump in cool ways and flip and collect stars or like whatever, you know? But when you, even the Mario movie, right, ironically is like kind of trash story wise, but people are just happy to go and have fun, right? But yeah, when you go to Final Fantasy has staked their reputation on their stories, on their characters, and these grand adventures that they take you on. And yes, JRPGs have always kind of been that way, which is why I like JRPGs. But Final Fantasy was like the top of the mountain. They were the pinnacle of that, you know? They had the best graphics. They were the most beautiful and the best stories, right? So anyway, Aerith lives or else. No more story. No more mysteries or else. Vamos, says Steed. Okay, cool. Let's get to the video. So yeah, this is Steed's latest video. It's called the Final Fantasy VII Remake Story from an Outsider's POV point of view. My wife's honest thoughts. Let me know if you guys can hear the audio and if it's working.
I really, really do not like theories.
Which is why you married the perfect person for that.
I know. I think it's going to be the same story.
It goes OG, Advent Children, which is the movie. Events of OG happened again under a different form in Remake, in a way that does not lead to the movie this time.
What the fuck does that mean? I'm sorry, that makes absolutely no sense. Barrett was the reason why I stopped playing Remake at first. I think the game is gorgeous. The costume. The best ending that they could have ever crafted for that game.
Wow. Questions you really want answers to.
Let me know if volume's too loud or if
it's
it's
5
working.
years? What the fuck is going on with Zach?
So many
All
questions.
Right. This one is really
Is the audio okay? Let me know.
special because today I have with me my lovely wife, who has just finished playing Remake and Rebirth, FF7 Remake and FF7 Rebirth, as someone who does not know
join our Final Fantasy
the original
family.
Story. Well, it didn't take you that long, to be honest. Like, you finished both under 3 or 4 weeks.
Yeah, I was pretty disciplined.
Yeah.
Oh, the second one. The first one I kept leaving and coming back, leaving and coming back.
The whole reason why we're doing this is that, first of all, so there's like this big conversation about the games being marketed or made for those who already know the story. Right, and this is where you come in because, you're someone you're the perfect example of someone who does not know the story or who did not play the original game at first. So you were exposed to kind of some through my daily ramblings about Final Fantasy VII for the past year and a half.
Yeah, she's lovely,
Eric
right,
dead,
Valentine?
So, yeah.
I
knew that before playing. Yeah.
Okay, full spoilers, by the way, for people who are joining if you did not know. If you did not play Remake and Rebirth, you shouldn't be watching this video if you didn't. And
so I relate to this video a lot because I am like your wife, Steve, because the first Final Fantasy game that I ever played was Remake. And haven't touched the OG. I just have learned through it through osmosis, through my wife and, being online.
Your perspective is extremely valuable because as I said, you're like the perfect example of someone who did not know the story.
She's shaking her head.
Now, you did watch videos,
true,
so I'm going to let you, of course, give some nuance and context around what you knew about the games before. But you did watch some videos, but you don't really remember the summary of the original game story, right?
Yeah. The best way to explain it is that I watched like summary videos. However, I could not remember anything.
Because I was kind of
while I was watching the videos, I understood like what they were saying. However, I've always felt like the story was extremely complicated. Mm-hmm. So I don't think that
Steve's
one
like,
video
let me tell you
for
about
me.
it.
And I did not basically understand anything. So before playing, I didn't know what to expect. I mean, I knew like who Cloud was and who Tifa was, Aerith was, whatever, especially because our daughter.
No, okay, so Steed says in the chat, he says, I'm still shocked about this because I'm 100% she heard the twist a year ago or something. Because I'm that way too. The twist has been spoiled for me. I kind of, just because, like I said, I'm married to Jolie and she's a big Final Fantasy fan. And I've known about it for years. But it's funny that you say that because I feel like our conversations are similar.
She played it with you.
Yeah.
And she kept on like talking about the game.
About both, yeah.
Exactly. So I knew some of the characters, and I knew that there was like the bad guy who was Sephiroth, etc. But I did not know what was happening basically, and I was curious.
So this is before you played, right? Just to
Yeah, that's
clarify, this is
before I played.
what you knew about the OG coming into Remake and
Yeah,
Rebirth.
yeah.
Now,
Okay, so like she explains her gaming history. She talks about playing other games. Sounds like, if you could correct me if I'm wrong, Steed, but she's played games like Sony centric games. Like she loves The Last of Us. I can't remember some of the other games that she's played, but kind of more. What I got from that was like more Western style video game approaches and storytelling. I'm going to skip over that because I want to get back to the Final Fantasy stuff, but she talks about kind of like her gaming experience beforehand. So she sets it up where she's like, I haven't played the original and stuff like that. But yeah, let me know, Steve.
So this was kind of your experience. And so you went into Remake and Rebirth. So you played, first of all, obviously, Remake. You started it actually a couple of years ago.
Not a
Oh, yeah. And Steed says she's exactly like you said about Jolie in terms of story versus gameplay. So like for me, I grew up like gameplay. I'm happy to play a game if the mechanics are solid and good, right? Because like for example, like a game like Dark Souls, there's actually a really deep story in Dark Souls, but you have to go look for it. It doesn't present it to you in a very overt way, because mostly those games are for the gameplay, right? It's like die, repeat, learn and better. It's like the gameplay mechanics is doing the storytelling for you. Whereas like you play something like Rebirth or Remake, it's like the story is crucial to your enjoyment of the game, I feel, right? You could still like the combat and think this is really cool, but so what Steed is saying is that, Jolie and his Jolie's my wife, but his wife too also values story kind of more than gameplay, right? And you said, yes, her main experiences were, Red Dead Redemption 2, she loved, The Last of Us 1 and 2, What Remains of Edith Finch. So these are like Western video games. These are not JRPGs, right? But a very, very well, received, critically acclaimed for not only their stories, but mostly, like Red Dead Redemption 2, like totally for their story. Last of Us 1 and 2, totally for their story, right? And What Remains of Edith Finch, story, right? So it sounds like that's what she loves, which is like my wife too.
a couple of years ago. No.
You started a few months ago.
Yeah.
Right? And you made it all the
She
way
loved
until
Attack on Titan.
chapter...
Okay, cool.
7, I
so basically the fall from the Sector 5 reactor into the church, and you stopped, I think, right after Cloud wakes up.
I stopped right when he was on the roof with
Right.
Gareth, like going through
And
the roofs.
And so, first of all, actually, this is a good point. So,
Very
what was
disagrees.
it that made you stop then, which actually made you go back and replay the game afterwards?
Okay, what made me stop is, to be completely honest, it was boring. It was really, really boring.
Oh, it was boring. No, don't say it. See, it's so fascinating to hear from someone that's not like just a huge Final Fantasy OG head, because I feel like that's the part where you just fought the Airbuster or whatever, that boss, after you in chapter 5 and you fall from the plate or whatever, and you like, I don't know if that's chapter 6 or something, but that's crazy. Yeah, love the honesty. This is so interesting. She's like, it was boring and she stopped. Love it. Don't be embarrassed. I'm glad that she's telling us this.
I feel like, and this is my main issue with Final Fantasy, I feel like it's the writer's job to make you love the characters, or at least care about them. And I did not care about a single character in Final Fantasy.
Okay.
Can you, this is like such a statement, and very honest, very real, and like my purpose is not to mock or say anything to belittle this lovely woman, Steed. Your wife is great. My point is, these characters are some of the most beloved characters in all of JRPG, not even JRPG history, on all of video game history, right? So she's a newcomer, doesn't have an experience with Final Fantasy game, and she's like, the characters didn't care about them, which is like, I think reflects poorly on the onboarding for those that made the characters or like wanted to get newcomers in. I think this is a problem that all JRPGs have. It's like, how do we get newcomers into this game? Because so many people played these games back when like PlayStation 1 was like huge, Final Fantasy 7 was amazing, and so they played these games, and it to them the toaster hands like chibi models at the time were just, it didn't matter because that was like graphics at its peak, and you went on these stories, and then I think people had more patience for the stories that would be told in video games back then because no one was doing stuff like this, but now we have a million different examples like she gave that she played of different types of really well told stories in games, right? But that's why I'm not saying that Final Fantasy VII totally stands on nostalgia, but I think that when you get newcomers coming in and they say stuff like this, it's interesting because it's like, I didn't like the characters, and that's like unbelievable statement about Cloud and Barrett and Tifa, some of the most iconic characters ever.
I don't
This
believe...
is up to chapter 8.
Yeah, much more
7.
niche, Deed.
I still
Deed would say
maintain
You
this.
still kind of feel that way.
I still feel
But
that
this is
way.
just going
but
back over why you stopped
yes,
the first time.
yes, and
I know you can't see it, Roosevelt, but like I know a lot of people that get to this point and we're like, I don't know. Like most of my family, I'm like, you should play these JRPGs, and they're like, it's boring.
no, I did not enjoy it. I did not
Yeah.
enjoy the gameplay, and that
And this isn't like I said, I know that we're Final Fantasy centric fans. I just think it's interesting to see a newcomer's perspective. It's very honest and very important for us to see because a lot of times we just talk in our bubble and we don't get an outside perspective. So we just think like, oh, these games are great. This game is a freaking 92. Like it's going to win all the awards, right? But then it's like, wait, people don't like this? Yeah.
I don't know if there's a technical term
Yeah,
for
sewers
it,
and
but I
gravy-
don't like that
The sewers and train graveyard were atrocious.
style of fighting. I don't like it when
yeah.
the camera is from that perspective. I like to have the perspective of the one who fights, like in Red.
So her comment here, she talks about how the perspective of fighting with Cloud, even though it's not over the shoulder gameplay like a lot of Sony games are, like that super cinematic look. They've zoomed in the camera like a lot more, and this is obviously not turn-based, but it's fascinating to hear her talk about this too, because she's like, this is kind of like a game like League of Legends or whatever, which is like, I know people might laugh at that, but it's like it's an honest take, and that's actually true. Like it's not. Some people can't wrap their heads around it.
Dead Redemption or
Yeah.
The
As close
Last
as
of Us.
possible
Exactly.
to a
I don't like.
first-person
I feel like it's
POV.
too similar to the games that people play online, League of Legends or whatever.
MMOs?
Exactly. I don't know.
There are similarities.
Yeah. So maybe because I've never played that as a child, so it's just no. I don't like it. I also found it extremely complicated and confusing. I know
The combat.
I know for seasoned players like yourself and people in the fandom, that's great because you get a lot of options.
Yeah.
Yeah, see, this is a very good perspective. And the developers, see, it's hard because sometimes we want developers to make games for like a broad audience, And then other people would complain if they dumb down the systems, then they'll be like, well, no, I like my tactical, ATV style real-time combat that they've given us, So don't dumb it down for people that are new, because I love that, and that's the big From Software debate where it's like, don't make Dark Souls games easier because these are the type of game I like, and if you like them, you'll learn it. But then that's why I'm totally okay with the accessibility options that they're putting in, where they just say like, you can have streamlined progression when it comes to, the damage that you do. Because if she's the type of gamer like my wife, Jolie, that's here for the story, then it's like, cool. Jolie's beaten the games on hard mode. She's done it, but she only plays Final Fantasy. So she learns the mechanics, but it takes her a while. But yeah, interesting.
Fight with from spells, items, regular attacks. To me, it was just hella confusing. Like I did not know that there's something that goes beyond, what is it, Blizzard or whatever.
Blizzard, Blitzara, and Blitzaga.
You have to go to the right or left arrow.
Yeah.
I did not even know that you can go beyond that, and so it's
and I don't blame her because these
confusing.
systems can be
It's already
confusing.
stressful to be in a fight,
Yeah.
and then you have to press X or whatever to get all the different options and choose from. No.
So
It makes me wonder, like, if they would have stayed to just the turn-based, if that would have like totally thrown her off, and she's like, I don't want to play it at all because it's turn-based. But at least with turn-based, going in, it's like, well, I can just sit here and pause, and I can kind of figure out the menus and do my attack. But it's such a fascinating conversation because some people are like, well, I won't even touch it if it's turn-based. But then Expedition 33 showed everyone that turn-based can be something that people play, right? I sadly can't really see the connection between the two, but I will say that some RPGs do feel MMOs and others. Yeah, that's true. Let people play the way they want. Just make it optional for, totally. Yeah, and Final Fantasy 16 is very MMO-ish, So actually, you just made me realize I need to specify this. She probably only came back and finished Remake because of streamlined progression was added. Oh, okay, cool. I know you do. I know that she took advantage of that. Right. You got a bot on Twitch, Spencer. Oh, my bots. I love my bots on Twitch. It's fine. They're the only ones that are in the Twitch chat right now, which is hilarious. Sorry. Hello, bot.
On the
No, they
flip
don't.
side,
Yeah.
you started using my own playthrough, I think first time. Or no, actually, yeah. So you didn't start a playthrough where it gives you a tutorial for every single thing that you're doing, right? Because there was already a save that went through everything, and so the first guides that you get into every single new thing, you were not getting all of that. But at the same time, you weren't really willing to engage with the combat style anyway. So it's not like we could have
No, and
reset that, but you weren't
yeah,
really.
and also I think it's partly my fault because I was too curious about the story,
Yeah,
and I just
just
wanted
get it
to
over with.
move
Just let me
on.
know what's going on.
Exactly, I just wanted to advance.
See, and I think this is like a totally reasonable request for people that want to know the story, right? I'm not someone that wants to gatekeep the story behind the combat. I think there are games that, that are built solely around the mechanics of the gameplay, like I talked about with From Software games. But I think Final Fantasy games, their combat and the story and the graphics and everything all is like synergistic. And so I think the goal of the combat is to let you have a great time, but to also have you advance the story. And maybe I'm wrong. I don't know, because I haven't played all the Final Fantasy games, but the ones I've played, I feel like I think Final Fantasy developers are sad if you don't see the story to the end. And you can look at trophy lists and see how many people have completed a story versus not, right? Which is kind of interesting. It's like, man, only like 27% of people got to like chapter 14 in Rebirth or something. I don't know if that's true, but it's kind of crazy. What's up, Alyssa? How's everyone doing? We're doing good, Alyssa. We're just checking out Steve's video right now. Anyway, so she's talking about kind of like her gripes with this stuff, and it's like, what made you come back? Streamlined progression, what Steve's saying, let's jump ahead here.
Right, but so let's remove these extra components from for a minute. As someone who doesn't play a lot of video games, picks up a video game every once in a while,
Yeah.
and as someone who is trying to experience the story for what it is, what are some of the things so would you say that Remake does a good job of keeping you hooked? Or would you feel that, like, even for the casual gamer, which might be someone that plays a bit more than you,
good question,
it might
by
feel
the way,
like
Steve.
a drag at points? And what are the sequences where you were like, oh my god, this is just too long for the sake of it? And what are the sequences where you were like, okay, now I'm really invested in the story and I want to keep going?
Remake, I'm not really sure. I just feel like I already got the point a bit early in the game. Like, I know what's the purpose of Avalanche, and I know Shinra and how evil they are, and they need to destroy the reactors or whatever. And so everything else, the story did not move past that, I feel. And correct me if I'm wrong, in the first 7 or 8 chapters or whatever, that was the whole
Yeah, I was really
story
just
that we were
presenting the
given.
characters
Exactly.
and kind of,
yeah. And so from a story's point of view,
This is something true, like a critique of JRPGs, is that it takes a long time to ramp up. We all know this. Like, I play other JRPGs, so I get this critique too. If she's used to playing other games that are narrative focused, like The Last of Us or whatever, like the pacing feels like a movie, right? Whereas like JRPGs, it takes a long time. She's like, I got the point already. I know that it's like Shinra's bad, we need to blow up the reactors, but then you kind of do the same thing. You do multiple bombing runs, it leads up to it. But they're doing a lot of character building, which I think is great because it helps you get immersed in the stories, but it is an acquired taste. I don't think people just jump into it and are like, I'm willing to spend 40 hours just like getting to the questions,
that's it. That's what happens. So I guess like people keep playing because they are enjoying the gameplay, they are enjoying the fights, they are enjoying the characters.
Yeah, Steve makes a
I
good
did not
point
enjoy
here.
any of that.
And you were talking
I
up to
was
chapter
just 7. That's when I
Okay.
stopped.
Yeah,
7
when
or
you stopped
8,
the first
I can't
time. Okay.
remember. And so I did not enjoy any of that. So there was no reason for me to continue the game. Also, the most frustrating thing ever is I don't understand a game where a character cannot jump. I don't know.
I love this because I always hated the games when you couldn't jump. But this is me coming from Mario. I grew up on Nintendo, and I'm like, you can't. I remember not liking Zelda the first time I played it because I was like, "Where's the jump button?" Love it.
I don't know what was the.
Love it.
Do you have a
You know.
reason behind this decision?
Yeah.
Well, it's just
insane
game
to me.
design.
Like,
There are games
you
where-
are a soldier. You're supposed to be so physically fit and whatever.
Yeah.
You can't jump.
Can't
I don't
jump.
know.
Love
You
it.
just jump in Rebirth a bit
Oh,
more.
it's
But
so
like, in Remake, it's kind of frustrating because,
Yeah,
they've
we
kind
missed
of
you,
staggered the
Alyssa. Welcome
development
back.
so that they build the world, first of all, they build Midgar, and then they had to cut some stuff. And you can see some of that stuff appearing in Rebirth, like much quicker combat, although I know you didn't enjoy
Rebirth
it
lets
either,
you
but,
like jump up on
you
I mean,
can
you're not
traverse,
physically
you can
jumping, but you're
jump
going
on
up
stuff.
the
You can actually
terrain,
you
like
can go a
Steve
bit
said.
further in Rebirth because it's an open world anyway,
Yeah.
right? It has an overworld and
Yeah.
whatnot.
But still, there's no button for jumping. It's just when you're running with.
Yeah,
I love it.
Well, technically
I
there is a
love
button
it.
for jumping. I just didn't show it to you because it's easier to just run with the
Oh,
trigger.
okay. Okay.
But it does the same thing. So it's just
Okay.
a circle or whatever.
Yeah.
Keep going through Remake because what was the moment where you were
No,
like,
I get
okay,
you. I get you.
First
But
7,
you're
8 chapters.
you're not just yapping this, dude. You're doing your best to relate to your wife, right? Because you're playing the games and you're probably like I don't know. I'm not gonna speak for you, but you probably don't have an issue that there's no jump button or whatever. But like, Biggle says, will people riot if they add a jump button to Ocarina of Time Remake? Probably. But like, I would literally do Z targeting in Ocarina. I would go backwards and hold Z and then do backflips because that's how I could do jumps in Ocarina of Time, because I was like, well, if it's not going to let me jump, I'll jump this way, Anyway, but I don't think you're bad at all, right? I think you're just doing a good job trying to relate to your wife and just realize, okay, this is where she's coming from, So anyway, I want to get to the part where the moment it all clicks. Here.
Remake.
Yeah.
That was really interesting, and it actually also kept me going.
With keeping it spoiler free, but there are clear moments where you remember where things become much bigger than you thought they were, right?
Yeah.
And so I personally have that moment with every game that I love, especially Final Fantasy games. So what was the moment for you where that clicked, if it did?
I remember, to be fair, something that happened very early on in Remake that was really interesting, and it actually also kept me going, is when Cloud meets Aerith for the first time, and then he has this vision
This is in chapter 2.
that everything is on fire, and we see Sephiroth for the first time, and he's following him through the flames, and something about his mother, whatever. That was very intriguing. I wanted to know more about that. Why did he have that vision? Who is that gorgeous creature?
This is something that's so fascinating to me, that like women just love Sephiroth, Who is that gorgeous creature? Shout out to your wife, Steve.
Are you talking about Aerith?
No, I'm talking about
Not Aerith.
she's pretty.
She's pretty, but
Yeah.
Sephiroth.
We're all talking about Sephiroth.
Well-made. Yeah. So,
We're all talking
that
about
was
Sephiroth.
great, but then unfortunately
course
for
we are.
Remake, like the point where I started like really caring about the story was the very end. It was after they went to Shinra,
We all.
and they found the president. He was like dangling, and they saved him, but
Yeah.
he ended up dead
Yeah.
anyways. And the chase
killed him.
through the expressway, and when
Oh yeah, everybody, let's get it.
Sephiroth descended. And
Appears.
I should have
Exactly.
given you
that
ad
was-
revenue,
that was a
Steve.
great
What was I
game.
thinking?
And for me,
Come on,
it
we should have watched the
kind
ad.
of redeemed all the boring stuff that happened before, because
I can
because
fix
it
it.
was so well made.
So you really loved the last 2 chapters because
Absolutely.
Okay, so this is a great point. We'll listen to it, but what Seed was saying, this is the part where Seed's wife was kind of being like, I don't really know why we're doing this. We know that Shinra's bad and we got to stop him or whatever. But then it was like when Sephiroth, they give you that little Easter egg at the beginning, which a lot of people criticize that they throw Sephiroth in so early, in that. But so for someone that's new, maybe some people read into that moment with Sephiroth a lot, where it's really just like trying to give you a reason to care about the last fight. And that's what really got her to stick around, was like, oh, I like fighting this Sephiroth guy.
it was just
Yeah.
So was that the moment where you were like, okay, I understand I understand that there is more to the story than
Wait, Alyssa says, but you need to play Rebirth to get some sort of payoff for that, Alyssa. We got to support fellow creators, Spencer. Oh, yeah, you're right. What was I doing? I should have watched the ad.
like
Oh yeah,
just
for
like
sure.
Avalanche
Yeah,
trying to
because
kill
I feel like there are 2 main stories, and
Yeah.
maybe they will converge in the end.
In a way.
I feel like there's the Shinra story,
Yeah.
and all the evil things that they're doing, and
the eco-environmentalism and everything.
Exactly. Like the dystopian side
Yeah.
of it, etc. And I feel like there's Sephiroth and Cloud's history, and that's another main story on itself.
Yeah, there was a broad commercial last time.
So
Just gotta
when we got a taste,
sell those
or at
bras.
least when I got a taste of the other main story, that's Sephiroth, Cloud, and whatever it's between them, and why is Cloud, why he is special to Sephiroth, and why does he want him to follow him so bad? That was very interesting, and I wanted to know more.
So, do you feel that
Nice.
I don't want to ask rhetorical questions that are gonna just make defend the game by themselves, right? But again, there is a big conversation around
They threw in Sephiroth for the ladies.
trying to keep it spoiler free again. Does Sephiroth appear? So, just so you know, in the original game, Sephiroth basically only appears in the flashback that you see in Rebirth. You don't see physically Sephiroth. You only see him in the Nibelheim flashback.
What?
So the beginning of Rebirth,
Oh.
right? So
See,
the
she's like,
entirety
wow.
of Remake, you hear about him. You see Cloud kind of remembering who Sephiroth is, even as early as the equivalent of chapters 10, 11, whatever.
You don't
But you
see
don't actually
Sephiroth?
see him do anything. So it's
What
not
are you
him who
telling
kills.
me,
You don't see him
Steve?
killing the president.
Yeah.
You see the president is stabbed with Sephiroth's sword, but you don't see Sephiroth.
Okay.
Wait, I need someone to answer this OG question for me. So, the president of Shinra, does he have the Masamune sticking it in him in the chair or something? One, if that's how he dies, cool, whatever. We don't see Sephiroth. But why is the sword still there? Doesn't Sephiroth need that?
Whole expressway thing does not exist.
The more you know.
Okay.
We spoke about this. I
What
think.
happened to his sword?
So, if that was the case, again, I don't want to make the case
Yeah,
for
it
the
is a
game.
big
I think it
surprise
speaks
to
for
you.
itself. But if that was the case and you did not have any glimpse of Sephiroth at all throughout those 40 or, 50 hours of gameplay, the 18 chapters, would you have, probably because you want to put aside the fact that you really want to finish the story.
Interesting.
If it was up to you, would you have been
He's got
intrigued as much
multiple
going into
swords.
Rebirth? What would have hooked you to go into Rebirth? Because obviously you wouldn't see Sephiroth the same way. He would appear towards the end, you would hear about him, but you wouldn't see all of that, aura, whatever, big meta stuff going on. How would you feel about that?
Okay, so are you only talking about Sephiroth, or are you also
Just Sephiroth. Does he,
including-
basically, if he didn't appear at all in Remake
Okay.
or appeared much less?
If they kept the
Yeah, this is
scene
fun, huh?
where Zack is coming the opposite way, and both Aerith and Cloud, they feel a presence, and we see Zack, and then they are in the
It's funny that she goes to this. You're like, if Sephiroth wasn't there at the end of Remake, right? How would you feel? And she's like, well, if I saw Zack, she's. But it's funny because this obviously isn't in the original. I don't think, right? Obviously, because this is showing that Zack made it to Midgar, which didn't happen.
this world where there's so
Yeah,
much light.
gotcha.
Yes, that would have been intriguing as well.
But even-
if
Okay, so she said yes, it would have been intriguing as well if the Zack stuff was there, but you're like, that wasn't there either. None of this is in the original. If it would have just you got through the bike race or whatever as you're leaving Midgar, and then they're just like, okay, here's the open world, time to go to the grasslands or whatever.
even if I didn't see Sephiroth.
VR Rhapsody says that is because the developers assume that most of the players that will play the game already know Sephiroth by now. Yeah, but see, that's the catch-22, because we're looking at it from a newcomer's perspective. If everyone assumes that they already know who Sephiroth is by now, that's kind of a problem, right? Because they're trying to broaden the audience, or maybe they don't want to broaden the audience. Of course they do. They want to sell as many video games as possible, so the more people that can buy it, then great. And she's giving her explanation as to why she, what story hooks kept her going, and it's because of this ending, right? Toolman says if the OG, if it was OG, you'd cut directly to the hitchhiking scene, basically. Oh, that's right, at the end of intermission.
But even if Zack literally appears out of nowhere, he's just coming back into Midgar and you don't know who he is. Because at the very least in Remake, you see that he's standing and looking at Midgar with the Whisper Swarm in it or whatever.
Yeah.
But even if that did not exist, and you just literally, the last shot, you see Zack for the first time.
Now taxes is a TurboTax
Oh,
expert.
taxes! Let's give Toolman his money.
No.
You got it. I
don't
couldn't
think
skip it.
And same for Sephiroth.
That's all yours, man.
So, okay.
I just did not.
Sorry,
care
what did she
about-
say?
I don't
We
think
gotta-
I would.
And you just literally, the last shot, you see Zack for the first time.
No, I don't think I would.
And same for Sephiroth.
She doesn't think she
So,
doesn't think she
okay.
would
I
like
just
it.
did not care enough about Aerith or Cloud or
Okay.
Tifa or Barry. Don't even get me.
I love your wife's take. Everyone be nice. But yeah, she just doesn't relate to the characters, what she's saying. But she gives reasons as why she doesn't like the characters. But yeah.
Started on Barry.
So many
That's,
ads. Turbo
that needs,
tax.
like 2 hours.
The
of
deadline's
its own.
coming up soon,
Okay,
guys.
so that was Remake. You really, I mean, you didn't like the vast majority of the game, but you really loved the last part. So it was like the highs were very high, the lows were very low, right? We spoke about that before.
Yes.
Before
Okay, in person, Steed gave us ratings. She rated like Remake like a 78 and Rebirth even lower. So she's saying she didn't love it, but then I think she comes back around saying that she enjoyed Remake more than Rebirth.
we move to Rebirth, I want to actually, this is a link between Rebirth
She doesn't like my favorite character. Aerith is not my favorite character. Barrett is my favorite character, and she don't even get me started. So maybe that's what you're talking about.
Remake and Rebirth. So you spoke about enjoying the combat, and it's just not the kind of stuff that you really enjoy because it's an action RPG officially, if you want to call it that way. It's not exactly
No, don't feel bad, Steed. Trust me, like we don't. Our videos don't get that many views either, and we set it on auto monetization. We put it on like moderate. We don't like go crazy with the ads, but it's totally fine, man. You did good work here. This is an awesome interview. I'm having a great time listening to it. It's the second time I've listened to it, and I think it's super fascinating.
like the original, which was
Oh, that's
purely
right,
turn-based, so you don't see action combat.
Yeah.
This one you actually fight, and then you have
Yeah, Alyssa, he did say so. They preface it. She's not like a huge gamer. She's played a few games and like she likes games. You know, she's not someone that's like never played games before and he like forced her to play like one of the most dense RPGs ever made. Right? Yeah, she likes them. She's played like Last of Us. She played Red Dead Redemption 2, which is a huge game. You know, but and some other games like that.
commands that you add, right? So the one of the modes, one of the things, the features that you used in Remake is called streamlined progression.
Okay. Yeah.
What streamlined progression is that basically makes every single fight trivial because every hit is 9,990.
That's right. She did love Sephiroth and Zack. Yeah, isn't it refreshing to just hear someone's point of view? I do love her honesty. Yeah. Okay, so they talk about streamlined progression here. So they turn that on, right? But let's hop ahead over here.
This is what remains.
Interactive.
Yeah. I'd rather play something that I like.
So almost like an interactive
Yeah, I
plus
like
movie,
yes, I like interactive
right?
stories.
Yeah.
This is why what remains of Edith Finch.
for
is
example,
probably
Yeah,
like-
or Until Dawn.
Until Dawn. I think she said one of her favorite games is What Remains of Edith Finch, and that's like an interactive game. So that's cool. So like it's cool that Square Enix gave this option to her so she can go through and do it streamlined.
Yeah.
That's what hooked you to
loved
it the first
so
time.
much. Yeah, for sure.
So going into Rebirth, because so Rebirth, I really want to take the time to go through it. So you start Rebirth, like you're just off the top of your head. What do you remember from the first couple of chapters? What was your experience with it? Because you were just coming off the back of Remake and you had your expectations about the story, and you're like, now I'm intrigued. Please give me more. And Rebirth actually starts quite strong in terms of story, right?
Oh yeah.
So how would you describe the beginning to the middle, maybe even towards the end
Can
of
you
your...
remind me what the beginning was exactly?
The beginning is basically
The beginning of
Nibelheim
Rebirth.
flashback.
Nobody
So-
remembers.
Oh yeah.
So you hear
Yeah,
about
yeah,
Sephiroth in
yeah.
Remake,
Yeah.
but you don't really know what the hell is going on with him because they tell us clearly that he's supposed to have been dead for 5 years.
Yep.
And you go into Rebirth, and all of a sudden you're playing as Sephiroth. Well, first of all, you're playing as Zack, and we will get to Zack in a minute.
Nibelheim
That's a can
flashback.
of worms that we
Yeah.
need to open eventually. But you start with Sephiroth, and you're like, oh, I'm intrigued because I just finished Remake. Now I really want to understand what's up with this dude. Is he dead? Is he alive? Like,
Yep.
what's his story? And now you see him as a
No, we
good
know
guy.
he's alive.
So yeah, okay, so Steed says, funnily enough, streamlined progression would have massively helped in Rebirth. Do you think she would have enjoyed Rebirth more than Remake had she had streamlined progressive? But props to your wife for finishing, going through it because they're going to release it soon. Streamlined progression is coming, right? When they release the Switch and Xbox versions, or is it already out on PC? I don't know.
Well, I'm just talking from what you from
what
Cloud's
but from what I understood.
from what you understood, yeah.
the last
But
scene
that's
in Remake,
something you didn't know before.
Yeah, but the last scene in Remake was like the confirmation that he was actually still alive.
What scene specifically are you talking about? When he
descended,
appears? Yeah. I mean, this is the catch is that you keep learning about the situation as you go into the story.
Yeah, I'm just telling you, like,
Right.
what was my understanding when I finished Remake.
Right.
Yeah.
And so how
Yeah,
well
the big
then
fight
a
of
good
Sephiroth
question
at
is
the
how
end.
did Rebirth give you more explanations about that specifically?
Oh, it didn't give me shit.
Yeah.
Rebirth was a long.
Yeah, this is where she
Explanations
explains it.
about that specifically.
Oh, it didn't give me shit. Rebirth was a long.
Just the first,
series
just the Nibelheim flashback.
of
I know that
doesn't
the rest
like
was a track. but
interrogation
just
marks.
first couple
what
of-
did you say? I was speaking.
the Nibelheim flashback when, like, how
She was
how did
ready
it
to
help
go.
You understand
And Steve, she was ready to go off on Rebirth right there. But you're like, no, just the Nibelheim flashback. Let's talk about that.
The situation a bit more with Sephiroth, with Cloud, with Tifa's whole role in that whole situation in Nibelheim.
Steve says, they didn't have streamlined progression, but yours truly, speaking of himself, had 4 full playthroughs be used on easy, so and tons of loadouts, right? So yeah, totally. You were there helping her along, as every good husband should. You know, they need to experience peak Final Fantasy, and you're slowly indoctrinating her into the franchise. It's fine. I get it.
Nibelheim, because remember, Nibelheim is the big thing that they showed us at the beginning of Rebirth, and we still there are things that don't add up, right?
Yeah, she's great,
side.
right?
Like, yeah, and I'm gonna come back to that because it's just so frustrating.
Yeah.
Okay, so it was nice to see a glimpse of their backstory, like what the relationship that they had before, why he is so respected as a soldier.
Talking about Sephiroth,
yeah, and he's a legend and whatever.
Yeah.
Look at Sephiroth just laughing, just living his best life. You should never have read those books.
Also, it was nice seeing how also Cloud used to look up to him, to see it, like to go through it, to play as part of the story, not only hear about it from other people. Yeah. That was nice. However, what I found frustrating, and I went back actually and I watched that scene again because it's just...
Which scene?
I think it's just a problem that I only have. The scene where
Sephiroth... your POV is from someone who didn't play the game.
But
so
I don't even think that new players have this issue. I don't know, maybe it's just my unquenchable thirst for people, for my need for people to be exact, but the scene of Sephiroth in the manor when he was reading...
I agree with your wife here.
To me, he was just jumping to conclusions. They did not make it clear. Did he actually read on that book that he was made out of Genova and Genova is his mother, or was he just jumping to conclusions? I saw the scene again and I could not tell the difference.
So this is actually
because it was hilarious if he was actually jumping to conclusions, and it suits him because of the hair and the aura and the outfit, whatever. Like in my mind, he's a drag queen, so it's so.
I love that explanation. The hair, the like aura, like he's super tall, like he's like this drag queen, and he's dramatic. Oh, that's so funny, Sephiroth, man. But I totally agree with the point that your wife is making right now. Like as a newcomer, I talk about this a lot, and I actually have issues with Sephiroth. I don't think he's a very good villain, and I could be wrong, and I think he might change. But as far as the 2 games have given me, I think he just kind of shows up to be a villain, and then he's just there because he's like iconic. He's got all the aura, like your wife was saying, right? And what is his big come to Jesus moment, right? Yeah, it explains a lot now, says Steve, that he's the drag queen. But he's got... I mean, I know that, like, I haven't done the extra reading. Like, I'm not the Ever Crisis player. Don't at me, Javier. I'm not learning about the origins of Sephiroth and all the stuff that's happening. All that I have played is the stuff that the, Remake and Rebirth have given me. And so far, it's just this cryptic drag queen Sephiroth that's showing up, and he's just telling me all this stuff about, this is a flashback, so this is him kind of discovering who he thinks that he is. And what Steve's wife is saying is that, like, yeah, this was kind of just rushed. It's like he jumped to conclusions and all of a sudden he just loses his mind. Like, I agree with her. I don't feel like they give us enough of a reason for why Sephiroth becomes like the ultimate evil baddie and just murders everyone. I don't think it's earned at all.
Okay, for him to be that dramatic, he reminds me so much
don't
of
add
drag
us
queens.
out
I love drag queens.
Yeah.
So it was very funny to see him being dramatic and jumps to conclusions that fast. Like, oh, Genova,
it started in the reactor. I wanted to bring you back to the reactor.
Oh, she's my mother.
I love it. I agree with her.
So this is a very important point because it still doesn't make sense to you how quickly he jumps to conclusions. Just to summarize what
Steve says that there's more in part 3. So.
And even if you heard him...
And also what's confusing to me is that the story that I should take as a player?
Gotcha.
Is that
it's 2 spoilers, so maybe I don't know about it.
Why Sephiroth is special? Like,
see, so like my thing is, I don't know. I'm confused just like your wife, whereas I'm like, I know Sephiroth's got issues, mommy daddy issues or whatever. I kind of know his origins, but like even still, as far as what the games have presented to me, it's like this is the big bad. This is the guy that's like the like nuclear end level threat, right? And all he did was like kind of realize that he thinks that this alien creature or whatever that's stowed away in Hojo's lab is like his mom. And like he freaks out. There's a part I can't remember what he says. Like this is his reason why he wants to like cleanse the planet with meteor or whatever. Like he has a whole. He's not relatable. Like I like when villains have this like arc, and they're trying to make him relatable. At the Nibelheim flashback, he's laughing and he's hanging out with the soldiers or the grunts of Shinra, you know. And they're doing this mission together or whatever, and he's like this legendary hero. So they're trying to make him relatable, but someone who's relatable like that, his whole life going through these things, wouldn't fly off the handle because he just like of some revelation that he just found out, right? To me, it's like, this is not enough justification for what you do next.
Should I trust what Sephiroth said,
So,
or...
Alyssa says, yeah, it's a spoiler, but you're getting from the flashback reverse pretty similar to OG. Okay, so there's obviously something that I'm missing, but from what the games are telling me, I think this is a bit weird. Steed says, yeah, it's funny enough. Without any OG context, you could ask the same about Cloud, as in, why is he even the main character? Yeah, and that's another problem. I mean, like, I always tease Tifa, like, she should say stuff to Cloud, but I'm like, why do we... Cloud is kind of dumb. I just accept that he's the main character because he's the main character. I'm not going to tell the developers to be like, I don't like this main character. I just know that he is. So I kind of just follow along, right? Anyway, but yeah, every complaint in part 3 is, why this? Wait until part 3. That's really it. Sure. Roosevelt, that's true. But then if they don't give us satisfactory answers, then wait until part 3 becomes like this sour note, right? So they have to like hit these answers hard, and they have to like really drive them home, because if they don't and they leave ambiguity just for us to like theorize about it, fail. You know how Jolie and I feel about ambiguity, but anyway, yeah, that would drive me nuts.
Is the truth going to come later in part 3 or whatever?
Well, I can't answer that. Well, like
You're such a good interviewer.
Okay, fair enough. Okay.
What I can tell you is that
you're very calm, and like I would be
this
like,
is not the purpose of this, but you're
tell you."
asking the right questions, more or less. There is this dilemma where you don't know whether you should trust the writer, in the sense that they know what they're doing and they're showing you just enough and trust what you're seeing as a player, or you should actually just come to the conclusion that they didn't describe everything as they should, right? So this is the kind of the dilemma you have with the Sephiroth situation,
exactly.
basically.
Yes.
All I can tell
this
you
interview is
is
great, Nick.
I would lean more towards the former than the latter. I would lean more towards just give it some time. Some things might not be explicitly mentioned in part 3, but once once the other things are explained, a lot of other hidden stuff will start popping up indirectly, even.
Yes.
Right?
Yes. And what happened with Tifa and everything. So
Right. So what's your current version of events? What's your current understanding of the Nibelheim flashback?
Okay, so
And the Sephiroth Cloud situation, Tifa, whatever's going on there.
from what I understood, and this is me moving a bit forward in the story, so apparently Cloud was not even there from Tifa's memories.
That's what Tifa said in Rebirth, chapter 1. Right.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, but we
She knew. Don't at me, Claudius.
know that Zack
I'm just
was there,
kidding.
and he drowned,
Only through Cloud,
Yes.
remembering him later.
and he died.
Right.
So that's what happened, basically. Sephiroth losing his mind, setting everything on fire. Cloud was there. This is how he lost his mom.
Yeah.
Sephiroth knowing that Genova is his mother. I don't know how is that technically possible. I will need some more explanations on that.
Because they were
You'll technically. I kind of know the origins of Sephiroth, and when you get too one thing about Final Fantasy, when you get too far into the weeds, the explanations surprise you, and you're like, why was that the case?
he knew that his mother was called Genova. He said that before going into Nibelheim.
We know that Genova was a I don't know what you call
An
it.
alien, basically.
Yeah, an alien.
That they found
2,000 years ago,
yeah.
or whatever. This is what I understood.
Now, again, I'm trying to keep it objective here. My purpose is not
You're
to
doing a great
give
job,
balance
Steve.
to the other side, but on the purpose of balance. Final Fantasy VII is a story that is told from A to Z. Like the writers know the story, right? So it's not like a case, for example, with Lost, where they admitted that, I mean, they had a start and an ending point, but they admitted that they were kind of feeding back from the reaction of people so that they keep the mysteries going or whatever.
Yeah.
With Final Fantasy VII, it's kind of like the story has been told 30 years ago. So you know, the writers know exactly where you're going to land and how it's all going to unfold.
Yes.
But we have to wait 7 years to find out for us, those that didn't play it 30 years ago. They're like, play the original. And I'm like, I'm choosing not to. Anyway. So far, the only good side of the community has seen it. Okay, good. So no one's gotten after you. Hopefully, like, people, this is like a very good interview and honest answers. Anyone in the community who gets mad at this interview, they're dumb, and I will call them dumb, because this is awesome. Just like a conversation with a husband and wife talking about how her experience was, and that's amazing. People like can be passionate about art, but you can't gatekeep or police how people interpret the art. This is my problem with the shippers, because they want you to see the things their way, and it's like, I love that you have a preference, that's fine, but don't come at me and be like, you need to have my same preference. Just let people enjoy art how they want to enjoy it.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, you're not supposed to know this as a new player, and I would say, like, if I were to summarize what your the annoying things for you are, it's not so much the mystery not being solved by the end of Rebirth, because it's 2/3
It's not supposed
into
to be, so I
it's
totally
fine.
accept that. It's
Right.
just that what I do not accept is me playing however many hours, and it was long. Trust me, it was long.
Rebirth was long.
Rebirth,
Yeah.
and not getting a single answer.
Yeah.
You cannot do that.
Well, I feel like what annoyed you the most is that characters were not asking the right questions rather than you not getting the answer.
Yes, and thank you, because I had this on my notes.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, you cannot keep watching your friend and don't get me.
This is like my favorite part of the interview. Everyone listen. Stop what you're doing and listen. Let her go. She's amazing.
You not getting the answer.
Yes, and thank you, because I had this on my notes.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, you cannot keep watching your friend and don't get me started on their friendship, because I'm going to talk about it later. They are all shit friends to each other. You cannot keep seeing your friend
The roast has started.
losing his mind.
He's losing his mind. He's losing his mind throughout these whole games. And I know those of you in the original, right, that played this, you played the whole game and it wasn't like crazy for you. You didn't have to wait years and years. But like, I've been playing 2 of these out of the 3 games, and Cloud is like a psychopath. He's trying to murder random strangers, and everyone's like, Cloud, what's your deal? But they don't deal with it because they have to tell the story of Final Fantasy VII. I get that it has to go a certain way, but as someone that's a newcomer and totally agrees with your wife, this is like my biggest issue, is that like they just let Cloud lead the party. And not only do they just say like, oh, he's like this strong merc or whatever, and you get into it in the video, but they let him guide their party. They let him direct and go where they're supposed to go. This would never happen. It doesn't work. It probably worked back in like OG times, but as I'm playing it, I'm like, Cloud is mentally unwell. He's unstable. No one should follow him. No one should listen to him. They should get him help before they continue on with their journey, because they talk to Aerith and they have reasons why they should stop Sephiroth. But the answer that I get from the community of them saying like, well, Cloud has to be the one to help because he's the only one that can fight Sephiroth. I don't swear very often. Bullshit. Bullshit. Okay? Barrett is like a mountain of a man, dude. Like, Barrett could squish that little tiny Cloud in his one good arm. I know this is ridiculous. I'm being a little silly. This is me teasing. But in a way, it's like, okay, yes, Cloud. They need to sort their shiz out, okay? Let's go back, because she's making such good points.
If it's a spell or can destroy the world with the black materia.
Yeah.
No! I lost our spot. Where was I? Okay. No, I did something. It's me switching.
Frustrating.
So
This is
don't
why I
know
need to use the Stream Deck, which I bought, Alyssa, by the way.
how to answer this because I know what explicitly the temple summarize what really happened in Rebirth from the moment you started to the moment
This is
that
where I was. Help
you
me
finished
out.
the game. Like what did you I know you could say nothing happened, but like I mean characters went places and did stuff. And there was a lot of character building in terms of giving us background of Red 13, of Barrett, of like we knew all
Okay,
that
so
kind of
in
stuff.
terms of the story, like the main story,
I bought
what
it.
happened?
Yeah.
So the two main stories
It's my
that I
favorite
mentioned
point.
earlier, which is whatever story.
Okay, I'm too far
Summarize what
ahead.
really happened
Where
in
did I
Rebirth
get to it?
From the moment you
I
started.
need to have her go
You
off.
cannot keep seeing your friend
The road
having,
has started.
losing his mind
Yeah.
and seeing visions and illusions, and the only thing you say to him is, "You need some rest, Cloud."
Yes, you need some rest.
At a certain point,
Oh,
someone
you
needs to ask
based.
Cloud, "What is
She's based. Your wife is amazing.
it exactly that you're seeing?
Yeah.
Tell us what goes on in your mind." Okay, you don't want to answer this. It's part of the mystery that you want to keep as game creators. I understand, but just make someone ask the question. That way
Yes.
I feel validated as a player, and then
Yes.
have Cloud. Cloud is annoying as
Preach.
fuck. He's extremely disrespectful. It's
Yeah.
not out of character for him to tell them, "Oh, it's
wanna
none
talk
of your
about it."
business. I don't want to talk about it."
Yeah.
Because, like, yes, everyone argues this, right? Online they'll be like, well, Tifa tries to confront Cloud and then he glitches out or statics out, and then there's that part where Tifa's like, well, I don't remember, Cloud having this, like, he wasn't there at Nibelheim. She's talking about Zack or whatever. But it's like the game is so polished. We scrutinize it because they're going way more in depth than the original did, right? We have so many more moments with the characters. They're stretching this over like 3 games, and they're all like 100 hours each, or like 60 hours, or whatever. So yeah, we're having more and more interactions with the party. But like, this is something that they need to sit down and be like, okay, we need to come up with new dialogue where like maybe Barrett has a conversation with Tifa and be like, look, dude, like your friend Cloud that you vouch for as a merc, kind of like when he joined the party at the beginning of Remake, like he is not right in the head and we got to like figure this out or whatever. Come have some sort of like explanation so we feel validated as the viewers, instead of just being like, you guys are all crazy for trusting this psychopath. You know what I mean? So your wife totally gets it, and I feel this. So anyway, very good. What's up, Franco? How's the new baby life, man? We're just going over a video that Steve just released. He interviewed his lovely wife here, and she's giving her opinions of Remake and Rebirth, which is very fascinating because she's not someone who normally plays JRPGs and doesn't play a ton of games. She's like more of a casual gamer.
But they don't do that, and it's extremely frustrating.
So I don't know how to answer this because I know what the solution or what the answer to the mystery is. So I feel like we, as those who have played
But even with the mystery, and maybe I'm wrong, Steve, right? Even the mystery, it's like, yeah, it's obviously, there's a reason why Cloud is the way he is, and he's acting a different way than he should be. To me, it's like the party should still be reacting appropriately to his behavior, and they're not, right? So,
story, we're kind of biased.
Yeah.
So we
Oh, yeah,
kind
you
of
say
know
you're
where
biased
that is
'cause you
going.
know
So
what's going on.
everything will be justified for us in terms of you wait, right? This is how we're approaching it.
Yeah, but maybe you guys are patient and you can wait because you know the story.
Because we're looking for other stuff. We
Yeah,
are patient
and-
because we're not even focused on that
Exactly.
mystery.
And
That's
you
the
know the
problem.
story, you know
That
how
you guys
how
don't even
it-
care.
and I do not, and I kind of care about the story.
Yeah.
So
So just to summarize, you feel that you do feel that the story was moved enough, like the story was kind of, we had enough movements in the story in Remake,
yeah.
but not so much in Rebirth.
No.
Right.
Alyssa says, everyone knowing the answer to the mystery, they've shown too much and he's not mentally right. So it's like, I don't know, was it like when you're playing the OG, when you're playing Cloud for the first time, do you know that he's like not mentally there? Or is that something that you kind of realize after the fact once the reveal happens and you kind of go back and you're like, oh, Cloud was acting a certain way? Because like I feel like they're hitting it over the head constantly. They're doing like a red herring sort of thing with the Mako poisoning, because they want you to think that Cloud is acting this way because he was in Soldier, right? So he was in Soldier and he's gonna get like the Mako degradation or whatever. Like that's a bit of a red herring, and it's there purposefully to make you think like the reason why Cloud is losing it is because of this, but that's not the real reason. So they're doing that to like put the wool over your eyes to be like, so when the twist happens, you're like, it wasn't Mako poisoning. It was, well, it might have something to do with Mako, but like not like he was the traditional soldier, right? Seed says, what I was trying to say is that the mystery will be explained, but I do have doubts on whether it would justify everyone's behavior. Maybe not. Gotcha. Totally. And maybe it won't. And for someone like me, I expect more. This is the same issue that we have when Red 13 changes his voice to Nanaki, and Jolie in our latest video, she goes into this. It's not that we have a problem that it's like in the original Japanese version, the intent was that like Nanaki was this little boy and not this old version. It's like, it's the fact that the party doesn't react to the stuff that's happening, right? It's like you've been spending all this time with Red and all of a sudden he changes and they're just like, oh, Red, you're such a softie, like playing the old man or whatever. Great. And they don't talk about it at all. Right? It's like just throwing a couple extra dialogue to be like, that was pretty weird. Like, can you believe that guy? I mean, they do some of the stuff, but this game's already bloated, but stuff like that is good because it, contextualizes the events that are happening in front of our eyes rather than just like having us go and do more tower searching and like open world stuff. Throw in a little bit more of that.
So if you were to summarize...
Careful, Icarus? What are you talking about? You talking about me, Toolman? I'm getting too close. I know, the Mako degradation, I know that's not the real thing. I think. I don't know.
What really happened in Rebirth.
There were
from
clues
the
for
moment you
players,
started
but
to the moment that
yeah.
you finished the game. Like what did you I know you could say nothing happened, but like, I mean, characters went places and did stuff. And there was a lot of character building in terms of giving us background of Red 13, of Barrett, of like we knew all that
so
kind of
in
stuff.
terms of the story, like the main story, what happened?
Yeah.
So the two main stories that I mentioned earlier, which is whatever is going on with Shinra,
Dude, I love that you got Glenn Lodbrok here.
which is whatever's going on with Sephiroth and Cloud, right? So with Sephiroth and Cloud, I know that Sephiroth is closer to gathering whatever he needs for whatever he wants to achieve, which is, I think, bring Genova back. And
He says it explicitly at the temple at one point. Yeah. The
bring
reunion.
Genova back, the reunion.
Yeah.
Have make, sorry, je sais plus parler anglais. Bring to life the vision that
What did she just say? Translate it.
he
Real time.
has
I'm just
of
kidding.
what is ideally the plan, what is
Javier
seeing the
and-
planet means
I don't know if that was Spanish. If it was, cool. See, this is how bad I am. Or maybe he speaks a different language.
to him.
Right.
Yes, so that's
But
what
there's
happens.
we have a joke on this channel that I it is not a sequel. Gotcha. Okay, cool. Oh, don't say that. Some people are gonna get mad. Just kidding. If it was Spanish, there's a joke on this channel that I don't understand Spanish, but I pretend like I do. So I don't know. She just lost her
That
English
side
for a
of the
little
story.
while.
The other
Steve.
main story
That's
with
awesome.
Shinra is
I'm dumb and only speak English, and so shout out to the bilingual or multilingual awesome people out there.
Yeah.
we are seeing what Rufus, what he's going to do with his father's legacy, basically.
Right.
But his story does not advance, I feel like. Whatever is going on with Shinra does not advance in.
So the
She said that she lost her
environmentalism
English and
conflict with
French.
Shinra did
That's awesome.
not
Okay,
move
see,
all
I
at
don't
the
know.
same
No, I
time,
don't
like
I obviously don't know.
the
so.
plate was
I
dropped.
don't know.
and
Am I right?
No, yeah, I mean the plate was dropped in Remake, and you're like, Avalanche is literally so. What remains of Avalanche is literally the party,
Exactly.
and they are now after Sephiroth.
Yes.
So whatever fight was against Shinra, basically, I mean, they tried to even make a deal with
I'm
Rufus
pretty
at one
sure
point.
the fight against Sephiroth, because they keep saying, "Oh, we need to stop Sephiroth from destroying the planet."
Even
so,
Rufus wants them to do so.
Exactly.
right?
So it kind of they end up being the same goal or objective.
He says, Spencer, do you feel the same about Rufus Avalanche arc? I don't know. Okay, so my perspective with Rufus and Shinra. Your wife made a good point earlier on. She's like, I think that they'll like all like they'll all converge and they'll all come together, right? Like Shinra's goals or whatever from like Neo Midgar and like his father's goals, and I feel like Rufus is like wants to know what the promised land is. Like Shinra's goals are obviously to like, I feel like them as a corporation, like they want to find this promised land so they can exploit it. I think it's funny, and I've made this comment before, when Rufus is like, you need to take out Sephiroth, like he's an unsavory relic from like our past or whatever, you know, and they kind of try to make that deal at the parade or whatever. I'm just kind of like, does Shinra know that Sephiroth is alive? Because at this point, Rufus is having conversations with Glenn, but then it's not Glenn. but he doesn't know, or does he know towards the end? But when he gives Cloud the deal, I don't know. It's so confusing. And then at the end, it's like Sephiroth, but it's not Sephiroth, or it's a Genova clone. I have no idea what's going on, and I'm like, okay. I feel like Rufus has some sort of motivation to, give him more power, and I think Sephiroth he just sees as like getting in the way of that. But does he know that he has no idea that Sephiroth wants to like destroy the world, right? I don't think he does. So as far as like the Avalanche Rufus arc, I do feel like that they're still separate. I still feel like Rufus is just doing their own thing. The Turks are involved, and they're kind of like getting in the middle of things and messing it up a little bit. I don't think that they see the overarching like plan that Aerith does, that she tells us at the end of Remake. So like our party has drive to stop Sephiroth, and because we want to stop the meteor, or we want to like protect the planet, whereas like Shinra's still out to do their thing, right? And it still feels convoluted. We talk about this in one of our episodes, but in chapter 10, when Kate Sith's like, so tell me about that Sephiroth guy, is he still around? And then they have to like, it's like he's a stand-in for the players who don't know what's going on, and he has to just reaffirm that like Sephiroth's the real bad guy, right? Oh yeah, like he's bad, but he died, didn't he die? Oh no, we have to fight him because he's still around, but nobody knows that. You know what I mean? It's like, I don't even think Shinra and those guys know that. I know that Palmer sees him in the hallway, but that's like a Genova clone. He's like, I swear I saw him, and then they like don't believe him. I don't know. It doesn't make sense to me, so I'm obviously confused. I'm replaying through Remake and Rebirth, so maybe I'll have a better idea once we get through it. But yeah.
Or whatever.
But let me zoom in on that, because you spoke about the fight to stop Sephiroth. Whereas so far, I mean, Sephiroth, we only
Okay, so Steed says, so Rufus is interesting because he knows that Glenn is dead for a fact, and he sees both him and Sephiroth suddenly reappear. But when does he see Sephiroth reappear? Does he see Sephiroth reappear at the end of Remake when you fight him on the rooftop? Or is that something, does he know that these aren't Sephiroth, that these are like Genova clones or whatever they're called? I don't know. Or is he talking about seeing Sephiroth reappear like in Rebirth? I don't remember. See, I don't remember when it happened.
talk to him either through Cloud, or he appears he just randomly appears.
Yeah.
First of all, there are two big sides. You could argue it's Sephiroth versus Aerith, at least in terms of worldview, rather than actually being two sides, because there are more than two sides, I believe. But what do you make? There is some confusion
Franco,
around
dude,
the next.
you need to chill with the super chats, man. You got a baby to take care of. You got to buy diapers. You got to buy wipes. Franco, thank you for the support, but also save that money so you got a kid now, so that disposable income goes right into his college fund. All right, no more super chats here. I appreciate it, but you're always too kind and generous. You do not need to. Steed says, now that's a great question because he sounds convinced he's still alive in Rebirth. I need to go back and figure out how he comes to that conclusion. Gotcha. Okay.
Language they both use, and the motivations and the objectives that they seem to both have. This is putting aside the fact that they both seem to know more than they should. Like, right?
Cloud
that's a completely
and
different
Sephiroth
thing.
or Aerith?
Aerith and Sephiroth, right? Aerith because she's a Cetra, and Sephiroth because whatever.
Okay.
So, but how? If you were to summarize the plans of both, how would you describe it?
And that was my
From
theory.
your understanding.
Yes, that was my theory that I presented to you. So I think that whatever Sephiroth is planning aligns more with what the ancients want.
This is an interesting take.
Which is
the planet needs.
Does Sephiroth think that he's an ancient? I don't know if like he thinks he's Cetra or if he thinks Genova, because there's this is another thing I'm confused about. Is Genova? I know Genova's not a Cetra, but then people kind of think that she is, and obviously they kind of do that thing in the temple, and she talks about how she might be a little bit confused, and she needs to rewatch the temple part. But some people think that Genova is a Cetra, but it's not true. And does Sephiroth think that he's a Cetra, or does he think that he's like something different?
To be destroyed, because whatever. I'm not going to pretend that I know what I'm talking about, but this is just a feeling that I got.
Yeah. We're doing all sorts of spoilers,
However,
you guys.
Aerith, she, in her mind, she wants
Steed, that's okay. This video's great, dude. I'm going to skip around a little bit, but this is fun.
to save the planet, which is like preserve the planet in its current state and stop Shinra from, again, using too much Mako or whatever, because that's depleting the planet's resources and life stream and life blood. I don't know. That thing.
He does not know that he aligns with the will of
No.
the ancients.
No.
And do you think that Eris is going against the will of the ancients based on that?
I think so, yeah.
Okay. That's very interesting. But what
Toolman
is it do you
says
think that
Sephiroth
the
no
ancients
longer
want
thinks
to
he's a
do?
Cetra.
Or what do you
I
think
don't
their
know.
motivations are possibly behind the reason that
I
they...
just think that...
Because remember, we see their side of the story to a certain extent in the
Yeah.
temple. So what did you make of that?
I need to rewatch this. I have no idea.
I think to a certain extent they might need the planet to be destroyed as we know it, because I don't know. I honestly, this is
They didn't give you any... Yeah, okay.
I feel like I need to watch or play that temple
Yeah, she's
chapter
like
again.
and I do
because
too. I do too,
It
Steve's
has a
wife.
lot of stuff
I
that
agree.
I need to be aware of and I need
Yeah.
to remember. But also, whenever Sephiroth pops up, and as much as I like Sephiroth as a character,
Yeah.
I feel like
Oh,
it's
don't
the
we all?
conversation with the architect from the Matrix all over again.
Yeah.
He sounds like
Spencer, we need to get through this video. Are we going to be here all night? Franco has a baby. He's in Australia, Roosevelt. It's fine. It's like 3 PM there, you know? We can hang out all night. We can go till like 3 AM.
he's saying like very important things that would answer a lot of my questions. But again, when I focus on what he's saying, I understand absolutely nothing.
I mean,
Maybe it's just me, but I genuinely do
no,
not
it's not
understand
just
what
you.
he's talking about.
I told you this before, but like, you know, your understanding of Sephiroth's words is as good as ours, those who have played the original.
Sorry,
game.
Brendan. It's
Like
still
some of us
broken.
know
Maybe
more
fix it.
things, especially within specific sequences,
Yeah,
which is actually a good segue to the next one, which is, first of all, what the hell do you think is wrong with Cloud, for example? Because there are
He's a
things that you
terrible
still don't know,
friend.
right?
Absolutely. That's what I
I do push back on your wife a little bit here, Steed, because for me, when I'm playing through it, I do think Cloud is aloof and kind of a D-bag. But then as the story progresses, changes in dialogue, in character moments, they do have moments where Cloud shows his empathetic, caring side, and he shows his love for Barrett. Like, and I know that everyone hates the dying scene in Rebirth because it wasn't like the original. I thought it was fine because I had no context of the original. But that moment where, you know, Cloud comes and helps pick Barrett back up, that's like one of the best moments ever, where Cloud's like, hey man, like, we're here for you. And he's not like overly sappy. It's just like, it's like what a bro would say to another bro. Like, when men have a hard time sharing their emotions, you know? But I do think the games have done a good job of showing that Cloud was aloof at the beginning and kind of separated from the party, and now that he's actually developed relationships with these people. But yeah, so I disagree with her a little bit right there, but I think she's just saying, like, her overall perspective, it's just like frustrating, and I agree with her too there.
ideally would want to know, and I wish that they gave us something to work with in Rebirth. Now, I understand this might be like the mystery of the story, and this is why we have to wait for the final part in order to get these answers. But
What do you make
Yeah,
of
yeah,
Cloud's
gotcha.
character?
of
first of
the
all?
character should have asked Cloud at least once what the hell is going on with you.
Yes!
No one did that,
We
which
should have
is
asked
extremely
him.
frustrating, but okay. Again, I played 2.
But Cloud is also annoying too, right? So I mean, if he's the mentally ill one, you can't blame Cloud because he's not there. So it's like up to everyone else, right? Josh Raccoon says Cloud cares for all his teammates. He just struggles on showing it. Yeah, right. And like, I think those moments show through, and I think they do a good job of letting, like, they kind of sneak out, right? He's still kind of got that like demeanor on. This is, and okay, spoilers. I obviously haven't played the OG, so I don't know what happens, but I have, like, and I've talked about this before, I have no idea what it's like. I think I talked about this on the last stream when I was with Jolie, but sorry if it's a repeat. But Cloud has Zach's memories, but they're not really his. Is he pretending to be like Zach, or are they like imprinted onto him? Or because like when Joshua says something, Cloud cares for his teammates, but he struggles in showing it. It's like, is he acting the part? Is he actually changed? Is it actually like this mental illness? Then the live streams sequence happens, and then it changes him, and then he finds out who he really is, and then does like this whole new personality Cloud come out where he's like shy and reserved, but he's like, hey guys, like, I love y'all, and I'm not gonna be like a merc anymore. Anyway, so don't tell me, I guess, but you don't want to know the answer. Trust me, says Steve. Okay, cool. So yeah, it's like, it's interesting. Yes, if Cloud cares for his teammates and he's like this, he can't speak who he really is or whatever. I don't know. Anyway, so that's something that I'm looking forward to finding out in part 3. I'll say that much.
Thirds of the story.
Yeah, as I said, it's like more towards 60,
exactly.
50, but
he was awkward as a
out
kid.
of 3
Yes, your lips are sealed.
And if
Zip
I
shut.
play 2/3 of the story, then
Still up
I
for debate.
deserve
Gotcha.
at least an answer to one of my questions. Do not leave me in the dark.
This so much.
And
Listen.
if I play 2/3 of the story, then I deserve at least an answer to one of my questions.
If I play 2/3 of a story, I at least deserve an answer to my questions. And the developers are not giving it to us. I know that everything hinges on this like twist, but Rebirth didn't take any time to answer questions. They threw Glenn Lodbrok at us, guys, in a Kingdom Hearts robe. Why are you doing that, Square?
Do not leave me in the dark.
I know. Okay, so except this is not actually 2/3, which is a good point. Everyone says like this is like the halfway point. So okay, hang on. Let's do some. I will do rant cam for a second. I know we're never gonna finish this, but this is a good conversation. All right. Okay, if we're not even 2/3 of the way through the story, and they have one more game to wrap up the whole thing. I've never played the OG, and people are saying, like, this isn't even 2/3, guys. Like, they got lots to go through. And I'm still this confused. Not only does the game in Part 3 have to get through all the events of Part 3, not only does it have to get, tell us some of, like, what's going on, and then it has to have, like, a resolution, and you have to get through all, like, the fights and the mechanics. All this stuff has to be wrapped up in one nice bow. It's like just... The daunting task that's before Square seems like insurmountable to me right now because they've asked questions, and now it's like, hey, answer them, please. And not only is it just like not following the events of the original game, they're throwing in all this other shenanigans with the whispers. So then all the new, sequel lore people out there that want answers to that are demanding new answers that weren't even answered in the original game. So they're like, they have to like appeal to both camps that they've created. Right? And maybe like, I don't think necessarily that they're going to be like, it's going to be satisfactory or completely correct, but it just seems like, I don't care. Like, I don't want the developers to be like, okay, we need to appease this audience that we've created and this audience that we created. But I do think that they have purposely fractured the fan base a little bit, right? Because I think that, like we talked about earlier, don't sit here and gaslight me and tell me that like they are not playing around with fate and changing things. Because if you sit here with a straight face and say it's all in Cloud's head and that like changing fate stuff isn't real or it wasn't there, it's like you're lying to me, okay? Because I have eyes, I can see what they're doing, right? Now, obviously, it could be encompassed, and if they do a good job of telling that story in Part 3 and be like, the reason why we did this is because of it's a reimagining of what happened and Cloud wasn't a reliable narrator. Like, I'll accept that if they do a good job of tying it up. But if they're just kind of being like, no, none of it ever happened, like that was all just kind of Cloud stuff, like bad, right? So anyway, yes, like just, I don't know. I always go off on this, but the Toriyama seem pretty confident about the third part. Yeah, they do seem pretty confident. They're like, we're going to answer all of your questions. That's like that's like a developer quote. I should bring it up or whatever. It's like we're not worried about it at all, which sounds insane to me, right? Like just getting through the events of the game, if it's not even 2/3, that they just have to, if they don't answer any questions and they just go like wherever we need to, I don't know what new places we're going to go to in the world, right? But beat for beat for beat for beat, and then they end the game. I feel like that game's going to be like 200 hours long, right? And then they have to like throw in all this plot context. Anyway, it's just like, I hope for the best. I hope that they can pull it off, but I think that it's going to be a very, 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 very unenviable, hard task. Sorry, let's go back to what we were doing here. Chocobro said, did you watch Inception? I think part 3 will end like that with some ambiguity at the end, and nobody will know if the inside Cloud's head are real life. Oh man, that would suck. I think Inception sets it up for that reason to be like, okay, you don't know because Hobbs or whatever, and I think that's the main character in Inception, right? It's like he's questioning his reality the whole time, and then it doesn't give you that answer, but it's because that whole movie is based on is it true or is it not true that you kind of accept that ending, right? But ambiguity just to say like, is it true or not? Like they haven't been setting up. For those that don't know, we just know that Cloud's unwell. We don't know if like this is all happening in Cloud's head until like the end of Rebirth, where we kind of get an idea where like Cloud is the only one that sees Aerith. So like, if they pull that, like if they try to make it like that, that'd be crazy, Chocobro. I would hate that. Deed says, but also disc 2 and 3 aren't really 76 or 67% of the story either. Okay, cool. Sounds like to me just like it's just a remake, says Alyssa. I got 2 hours of missed video to make up for, Javier. Oh, yeah. Okay. Well, anyway, counterpoint, NVIDIA CEO Jensen Huang was also very confident until a couple weeks ago. I love Square Enix, but I don't trust their developers. When storytellers and developers and when they're marketing a game to you, like, of course they're going to tell you that they have it all figured out. But, like, let me be the judge of that, you know? I'm not going to just blindly trust you, okay? Joshua says, I think it's going to be extremely linear until we get Cloud back. See, like, I don't even know what that means. Cloud's not there? I don't know. See, these are things I don't know. Anyway. Right, the Barrett, worst character. Don't you dare say that.
We have
Barrett's
played
the best.
100% of the story
So my
with so many
theory
question
on
answers.
what I think happened with Cloud is that you know those what do you call them?
The cloaks, the robed figures.
Exactly. Yeah, those guys. So Cloud was supposed to be a part of them. However,
Was supposed to be.
was supposed to be one of them. And
Okay.
he's like the missing piece of a puzzle that Sephiroth needs for their reunion. However, Cloud, maybe because he's so special, because this is the question that I started asking you in the very beginning when I was curious, is why is Cloud special?
Yeah.
Because when I saw you, and I saw like glimpses of your playing, I never thought that he was special. I did not know why was he the one carrying the story, why was he the protagonist, and I still to this day don't know that.
I agree with her a little bit.
know,
Like,
because
I don't question it because when a story prevents you with a protagonist, I feel like, okay, it's like they'll give you a reason as to why, right? And there's been enough mystery for me to be like, okay, like Cloud has been a part of certain events that matter, so it's like, okay, we're following his story or whatever. Yeah. So he says, oh yeah, I'm just saying that Spencer doesn't know. Yeah, I don't. That's okay. I think Joshua knows that I haven't played the OG, but
Sephiroth really, really wants him to be part of whatever he is planning, that's for sure. So I think that Cloud is special because maybe they did also those tests on him, like they did the cloak people.
Yeah.
But
Okay.
it did not work on him. Like he has some magical power or something that makes him resist that. And this is what makes him even more
maybe
special.
she knows
in
more
Sephiroth's
than she
eyes.
thinks.
And this is why he needs
I don't
him
know
for
what
the
happens to Cloud, but that's kind of what I think.
I
This,
don't know.
this is what would make him special for Sephiroth.
Yes.
But it's not necessarily something that
look
would
at him
make
hug
him
it out.
special as this is who they picked as the main character for the game.
Yeah, I still don't know that. I mean, to me,
What is your best guess
what is my best guess?
as to why he is the main character of the game?
Or the antagonist? We still don't know.
That's
Well, you know, yeah, it's a fine line. Bugenhagen says it.
that also goes to Smash Brothers.
I mean, you don't need to think too much about it because you don't want to start going into theories. You might
Exactly.
stumble across it.
I don't know. I
So you don't know.
honestly don't know. Maybe he's just like a very strong soldier and he's the only one that can stand up to Sephiroth.
Clearly.
Maybe.
But that's not clearly. I feel like, okay, Steve, I'm not giving you a hard time, but it's like that's a good enough point. And I think the games say that, right? It's like we need the Merc, right? They wouldn't have hired Cloud to go along the bombing runs with them if they could have handled it themselves. And then obviously the story explodes into bigger stuff when it like Sephiroth gets involved and they have to fight him. But I just don't buy it that Cloud's like the only one that can beat Sephiroth. They kind of pitch it as that, but I don't think it's earned it. I don't even know why Cloud is as strong as he is. Just like you're talking about. He's just got plot armor and he's main character, so he has to be strong. That's what I feel like the story's given me so far.
Do you think that would be the reason why some of them are like kind of afraid of him? But I know we spoke about this before, but you're like,
I
at the
don't
very
see them
least.
as afraid of them.
Okay,
of him.
gotcha.
I just see as not so good characters development.
pilot.
All right.
They're scared of him.
You guys.
So
Is this just torture for you guys? Because you all know, and you're just like, you have no idea. That's why I think this is fascinating. So even if you can't tell me, and I'm streaming about it, you in your head, like right? And all you have that have played the original, you just keep saying like my lips are sealed or whatever. But this is fascinating because I relate so much to Steed's wife because I have so many of the similar questions, right?
the next one is a very important one still that you can literally miss.
Joshua says, agreed, there will be a small part of the game. Tifa will be the protagonist. Okay. So I did not know that. That's interesting. So Cloud's like not going to be in the party? That's insane. Okay, so I mean, there's times like in Rebirth where they let you control like another character, but Cloud's just like off doing something else, right? Okay, so very cool.
If you toggle
Super
one of the
torture.
options in Rebirth, which is to ignore all the Zack scenes.
Final Fantasy VII wasn't meant to be broken up like this. Yeah, I agree. I think that's kind of the case. This is what I talked about at the beginning. It's like because they split it up into 3 parts, it never should have had these disjointed moments. People wouldn't have these questions because they would just play the full story.
Oh.
There's an option to toggle it off.
I
So what
I
do
don't
you
know.
make of Zack?
It's
have no
okay,
fucking
Steve.
idea.
They
What do you
know
make
they
of
know
the
the
character,
territory.
First of all, what do you think of
I'm-
Zack the character?
I'm on a
I
Final
like him.
Fantasy
He's very
podcast.
likable. I think he's the only decent person
Mhm.
in
Compared to
Final
Cloud?
Fantasy. Not compared to every one of them, because
Okay.
I'm going to go back to the characters, and I'm so sorry in advance, but I'm going to destroy the characters. They're shitty people.
You do
I'm
you.
sorry. Yes,
Yeah.
Zack, Tifa, she's a decent person as well.
Yeah.
I
Jack's
like
a good
Tifa.
person. Tifa's a
Yeah.
good person.
I don't like how they made Tifa, but I like Tifa.
Of course.
Zack I like him. I said he's a very likable person.
Roosevelt, listen,
He's
Zach.
a
We're
decent
talking about Zach.
guy. Especially at the end when he found out that actually Aerith is in love with Cloud or has feelings for him or whatever from the little
No,
girl
she's always
told him
loved
already.
Zach
Yeah.
only.
He said I forgive you, Cloud, or I understand or something, but
He
we
just
know
said,
that he's not like holding any grudges against him.
It was
Zach
like
is
oh,
the
I
best
didn't know
of them
that,
all.
or
Let's
something
go.
like that. Yeah.
Now, what I make of Zack in this story, like what's his role,
What's going on with him?
exactly, like why are we seeing him?
Yeah.
I have absolutely no clue.
Well, there is one big point is that you actually see that Zack, so our Cloud kind of links up with that Zack for a moment. So he must, it's not something that is
And
like,
that was
Totally
at the very
fair, Josh.
beginning when he brought him to the house, right?
no, I mean, he's been
they-
bringing him back towards Midgard, but towards the end, like one of the last fights, when you fight Sephiroth at the Edge of Creation, right?
Yeah.
So you see those two.
Yeah, I don't get this at all. I don't get the like Zach reunion, like they're buddies. Like this Rebirth. This feels like straight fan service. And I don't know what the heck is going on with the different worlds. We'll talk about it when we get to it in our deep dives if we ever finish it. But it's like Zach is on the literal cover of the game. And then you have a few flashback moments with him. And then you fight with him at the end because like I don't think it's earned. I don't think the game earns a lot of stuff. I think they just throw it in there. And it's not very well explained. And so I feel like part 3 has another job. It has to answer all these things, and maybe it won't. Like, maybe it's fan service, and they just use like the live stream has multiple realities all within it, and it just can have these moments because we said so. You know, it's just a Crisis Core collab. That's all. And I haven't played Crisis Core, right? So I don't know. I like Zach. I like his attitude. He's an interesting character to me because he's always upbeat. He's positive. Unlike Cloud, who, so far, the Cloud that I know, is aloof. Cloud is interesting for other reasons, but, I agree with your wife that she sounds like Tifa is a good person, that Zach is a good person. These are like kind, good-hearted people, and I agree with that. But it's like, okay, I don't know why you're here and why you're fighting together.
Teaming up.
Yeah.
So that's kind of the game's way of telling you this is kind of important, right?
The fan
Zack's
service
role is
boy like
important,
Sephi is
because
fan
otherwise
service bad guy.
we would just never have him in the main
But
part.
Sephiroth's like the main
So
villain,
what
though.
do you make of
Or
first of all,
Genoa.
what do you make of that whole segment? And we might want to go back to like the world, Sephiroth's segment explaining the worlds to Cloud. Like, what did you make of
I have a hard time listening to Sephiroth because he talks in that like cryptic, sexy voice. hey Cloud, like the worlds of the whatever. And I know people like lore heads are like, I gotta stop and read every word or listen to every word and write it down. To me, I'm trying to understand it. I'm like, what are you saying, Sephiroth? You just keep showing up and it doesn't make sense to me, right? Is Sephi the main villain? What's up, Swally? Most people never understood Zack, but he is literally the most important person after Aerith for the good side. Great, like I like him, but I don't know why. That's your understanding of Zack is not my understanding of Zack. I have, maybe it's because I haven't played the required games or read the required material, but I've just played Remake and Rebirth. I haven't played Crisis Core. I haven't played the OG. I haven't read any books. So it's like, if Zack is the most important person after Aerith, that the games have not presented that to me up until this point. And if that's true, then the games are doing a bad job if they fail to portray that. Zack understands and embraces his role, helping and completing Cloud. That's because the new games haven't touched the backstory of Zack. Yeah, Cloud and Zack. Okay, so maybe we'll get that in part 3, Swally, right? Right? But at this point in Remake, you know infinitely more about Zack than we did in OG. Yeah, that's true, okay? Zack is completely missable information in the OG. That's nuts. Okay, so he's completely missable in the OG, but then he's the most important person. So I don't know. See, it's just crazy. What am I supposed to know?
That, and it obviously directly relates to Zack's situation. So what's your understanding of the whole world thing going on with Sephiroth?
And how they will all converge.
Well, if that is what you understood, like, yeah, what did you make of him? Explain it. What's your understanding based on what you saw?
Nothing. I did not understand anything. All I know is that there are parallel worlds or universes or whatever.
Yeah.
And they all have to link up somehow.
Mm-hmm.
But I know that in the Edge of Creation, there's no time. There's no concept of space and time.
How do you know that, though?
I think Sephiroth said it.
At the Edge of Creation?
Yeah.
I have no idea.
I have no idea
what the Edge of Creation is.
The Edge of Creation in Attack on Titan.
That's what I was gonna say. I think either that or you heard it from me or something.
This is great.
Like, I don't remember there being any confirmation that time does not exist. I mean, he tells him 7 seconds till the end at the end of Remake.
Yeah.
But like we
Yeah. Okay. So that's another thing. At the end of Remake, you're just fighting him, and all of a sudden you get teleported to some new place, and you just have a little. You're like on the moon in space. These are the things that, like, you gotta explain something. I get it gets so into the weeds, and JRPGs can be, be like, well, Cloud was teleported using like quantum physics, and his matter was here. Like, I don't want any of that stuff. Like, I know people accuse us of like wanting the stories to be spelled out. Obviously, we just have to kind of accept certain things, but there's so much like nonsensical stuff happening to me, and I'm just like, am I like I just like. My eyes glaze over, and I'm like, what is happening? I can't follow this. I don't know what's going on, right? Let's see here. Josh says they're making him pivotal when he never was before. Almost they are completely shoehorning his story in for fan service. See, it's like, okay, if this is just a reimagining, why are they putting so much emphasis on Zack? If like they're being true to the original, and this isn't if this isn't a sequel, then why give so much time to Zack? Even though they really didn't give a lot of time to him. They put him on the cover, and you have these playable segments, right? In fairness, they released Crisis Core Reunion right before Rebirth to explain Zack in the back of the story to newcomers. Totally. But I remember them coming out with that, and I was like, oh, I should probably play that. So it sounds like they are saying there is required reading, right? You have to go outside of the main trilogy in order to understand the trilogy, which I think is a bad thing. I think if it gives you context and it gives you more clues, then great. But if they're saying like you need to play this game in order to understand what the 3 games are trying to tell you, then that's a failure on the 3 games part. And maybe the story's just too big for that. Maybe they shouldn't just say it's like these are the 3 parts, right? And I like, for fans, like, we're a Final Fantasy channel. That's awesome, right? I think it's cool that there's more games and it explains the universe. And I know that Final Fantasy VII is a whole universe and it has the compilation of all the stuff, right? That's awesome. I'm purposely just playing the 3 games first before I go back to other stuff, and that probably infuriates people, and I totally understand that viewpoint. It's like, you're dumb for doing that to yourself, but I kind of want to see if this holds up without knowing the other stuff, even though I've been spoiled on a lot of things. So No, you don't need to understand. You just need all three parts. Okay, cool. Well, we'll find out, right? But the fan service isn't for me then, because it's not hitting me. I'm not like Zach and me are buds.
That would
Yeah.
imply that time exists, but we still don't know.
I don't know.
Let's
Okay.
jump over to Aerith's
That
fate.
ourselves,
Here.
but anyways, going back to or staying on the topic of Aerith's fate at the end of Rebirth, I had two
Okay, this is something my take on the end of Rebirth, and we'll talk about it when we get there in our deep dives. But I I struggled with it because she I'll let her get to that in a second, Steed. But Steed's wife talks about how she like knows that like Aerith is dead. Like that wasn't totally apparent to me at the end of Rebirth. I feel like there's moments where she's like in Cloud's arms where she's, got her eyes closed, but then she's up looking at him, and then there's blood and there's not blood, and then we just see the characters' reactions of like them crying and being sad, but then Cloud's just kind of space cadet, So I get what they're trying to imply, that like I think it's a good job if they're trying to portray that Cloud is just totally mentally not there. But I think they could have done that and still made like I think it actually would have been more powerful had Aerith died and we would have seen like her die, and then Cloud be like, she's fine, or like talk to her, That would be way, 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 way better, because you still get that big impactful moment. The audience knows that Aerith is dead. The party knows that Aerith is dead, and Cloud's like the only one left wondering, right? But instead, they're doing this will they, won't they sit on the fence thing that's like ridiculous, and they won't commit to a thing because they want you to be like, maybe there's a chance that Aerith is alive, right? And maybe there is a chance because this is them gaslighting us again, saying that like we changed fate, so maybe there is a timeline and another thing within the live stream where she is alive. Right? Like, so I don't blame all the people saying that Aerith lives, right? Speaking of, Aerith lives, or else time for all of you to study the basic precepts of a 3-act story structure. Yeah, like, I can't blame people for saying that, like, oh, Aerith lives, and people are like, you're so dumb. It's like, no, they're obviously trying to play with you here. They're obviously doing it. Anyway, let's listen to see.
questions. So the first one is, you as someone who knows obviously that she dies in the original game, what was your take on the way it was portrayed for you in the first time experiencing that? And the second one is, what do you make of the actual? So the first one is how.
Steed says it's a Japanese story though, so 4-act story structure, and that's fair. Like we criticize JRPGs from a Western lens. I will always admit that, right? And Jolie and I talk about this all the time, where we have our expectations of like what a story should be and how they should tell it, and a lot of times we're like trying to fit a square peg into a round hole, and it doesn't work because it's like, well, this is how Japanese people tell stories, and that's fine. But I can criticize that storytelling from a Western point of view and say, well, it doesn't work in a lot of ways, right? Because yeah, that might be true, but I feel like if you're the lion's share of your audience is North America, right? And all this stuff, it's like you're telling a story for, well, okay. I think the artist's intent should be number one goal. I don't think you should just tell a story to appeal to a fan base or whatever. If you have a story to tell, you should tell it. And if it resonates, great. If it doesn't, then that's fine, right? I don't think you should change based on what people expect. But at the same time, when you get criticism after like how your storytelling works, that's like why Final Fantasy 16 is interesting, because I think they wanted it to be like a Western Game of Thrones style game, but then they couldn't help themselves and they just went back to the JRPG. And that's why there's that like total shift from this is like a story of betrayal and revenge, and it switches to like we got to kill God at the end because they can't help themselves, right? And that's fine, right? They're the ones that get to tell the story, but I can critique them and say, well, I think you did a bad job, and I like this part about it, So anyway,
was portrayed. The second one is her actual fate from what the game shows you at the end of part 3, at the end of part 2.
What do you mean her actual fate?
So what do you think really happened? Because we see cases
dead.
where she's dead and cases where she's
she
alive.
just knows she's
Why
dead.
do you see cases where she's alive?
Well, she talks to Cloud.
When?
She does talk to Cloud. She wakes up. He tells her wake up, and she opens her eyes, and she talks to
But
him
that's in
towards
the
the
other
end.
world.
No, she talks to him towards the end. And we're talking about
Near the
Rebirth.
airplane.
The last cutscene.
With it, I don't know.
What do you make of that?
That is no indication that she's alive.
But what's going on?
That's a confirmation that she's actually dead. Like, he's the only one who can see her.
Okay.
Kate Sith, I think, were Red 13. He felt something.
Red 13?
Exactly. But
Why is it Red 13 specifically, you think?
because he was locked also in a laboratory, maybe they injected him with some stuff, and that's he was connected with Aerith. I don't know. And also Cloud.
See how she's grasping for answers? She's just saying, I don't know, like they injected stuff in Red 13, so like that's how he feels Aerith's presence, which is like a totally reasonable response to that because she has no idea because they're not giving us anything. Swear. And I don't want it to be totally spelled out, right? But I totally agree with
the
her.
Shinra. Like, they had control over him, so maybe this is why he can see those visions as well of her.
So if they can see those visions, does it mean that she's not dead? Because if both of them can see it due to the same thing, because they were locked in Shinra and were, I don't know, they had Mako, whatever. So does that mean that that's an objective experience? If
But
both
I
of them
love
can
this
see her
perspective
or
because it's
feel her
totally
at the
new.
very least?
Yes, to me, Aerith is dead.
No, do you mean that, well, because both of them see her.
Well, yeah, I just gave you my explanation why. I feel like the only thing the three of them have in common is that they were both experimented on by the Shinra.
So that would make them, how would that factor in the fact that
don't
they
know.
see her?
I don't know.
It's just something they have in common and they have the same result. That's all. We're talking only about Cloud and Red 13, right? Not
Exactly.
Third person. Okay.
Yeah.
So, okay. And what did you make of the way it was portrayed? Because we literally think she's alive first, right? Like when you just like play.
Steve says, yeah, and there I realized that they didn't give some context on Red 13 too. I thought they did. This must be so fascinating for you, Steve, as someone who creates like lore videos and like loves the series, and just sit down with your wife and talk to her about it. It's so fascinating. I just love it because you're like, wow, so many people understand this differently than I do, or maybe the community does, right? Javier says she is death because she knows Aerith dies in the OG. Okay.
The game for the sequence.
Oh, sorry. The unconscious white dog with the left bandage arm that appears with every version of Stamp. Oh, please don't get me started on Worlds 1 and 2.
For
Okay,
the first time, for the first 5 minutes. Until you see the blood and everything. You think she's alive. You think he saved her.
Like when he's holding her?
Oh, I love this part because she's like, she doesn't even remember Cloud trying to stop Sephiroth's sword, which is hilarious because they literally have you press like the L2 and R2 buttons to parry it.
Even before, when he blocks Sephiroth's sword.
I have no recollection of this.
You have no recollection of Cloud's
No.
parrying Sephiroth's sword.
I have no recollection of this
swear I
happening.
do.
You don't even seem credit. You don't seem like...
And you're like beside
you don't-
yourself.
It's not that you don't make sense, but you're not reliable anymore for whoever is watching.
I did not make sense this
No,
whole
she's
video.
reliable.
I
No, it's
forgot
alright.
It's fine. She
I
just
don't know.
forgot.
So, what's your take then from that scene, based on what you remember?
Unreliable narrator.
Sephiroth stabbed Aerith and
That's
Aerith
funny.
is dead in Cloud's arms.
Okay. Did you see her getting stabbed? Did you see the sword
no,
go
I don't
through
think
her?
so.
We
No.
didn't see that.
What are you trying to do here, Steed? Are you trying to make us doubt? Did we see the sword pierce her? See, don't you think it would have been? This is the will they won't they? They want us to like think that there's a chance, which is like them. They already did that to us at the end of Remake. They're like, we changed fate, so we all know what's coming up in Rebirth. Aerith's gonna die. Everybody knows Aerith dies. I knew that before I even sniffed a PlayStation, before I even knew what it looked like. Right? So it's like funny to me that then they're like, well, this is the big thing that happens, and maybe since you changed fate, maybe we're not going to show it.
No. But we saw blood at a certain
Square,
point.
square.
So
Maybe.
I think what we take away from this is that it was too confusing and you don't really remember what happened. So you want to go back and rewatch it.
She's like, no, I never did it.
I don't know if I can rewatch it, but I should. Yeah.
You probably should.
No,
I
I'm
can
kidding.
make you rewatch it now, but
Okay.
it's fine. We can rewatch it one day.
Okay.
Okay, so you think she's dead.
You're so sweet with your wife. I love
As
it.
they-
This is just
as
awesome.
one can be
conversation.
dead, as much as one can be dead, and you think that just Cloud and Red 13 can see her or feel her for probably maybe the same reason, the fact that they were working or they were with Shinra or whatever.
Yeah.
Okay, so what is the true version of events of the, like, what do you really think happened in Nibelheim? Now, we are going into speculation a bit more because I'm really curious to know how the mind of someone who doesn't know the story goes into part 3 and predicts things.
Okay.
And Nibelheim being the biggest question mark we have so far.
Yeah.
What do you think really happened?
I found out
Okay,
Aerith died from a
you
Game
know
Informer
how
magazine.
I really, really
Nice
do
pickle.
not like theories in
Yeah.
general. I don't like theories.
Which is why you
Because-
married the perfect
Yeah.
person for that.
Okay, sorry, I'm going back a little bit. Oh, this is the like I don't like someone. I don't like theories. Why you married the perfect person? I love it. Oh, that's so good. But Alyssa's saying here a lot happened in that chapter, so I don't blame her for remembering nothing, which also takes impact from Aerith's death. Yes, like okay, this is like the one thing that people remember for like all of time. Like I knew about it, like I said before, I even knew what a PlayStation was. I knew about it. Biggles learned about it from Game Informer magazine. People know that this happened, and they took the one thing that everybody knows happens, and then they obscure it on purpose, right? And that chapter is super confusing. I don't even know. Okay, my perspective, and I'll talk more about this when we get there, but I sound like a broken record. But when you are like at the temple of the ancients or whatever, and you're doing the black materia thing, and then Cloud fully loses it, and Sephiroth is like, give it to me, and Aerith like falls down that thing, and then all of a sudden she's just like the date that happens, like the events, the sequence of events that happen after that, where she, you know, falls, you're in the forest, like where is this forest? And then you go to this city. I don't even know what this city is. I have no context of what we're doing. And then she just goes and she prays somewhere. Like what? Why? Why are we doing this? I need to replay it. And I will admit that maybe there's some reasoning or there's some sort of logical events that take place that let them move from one location to another. But to me at that point, I was like, what is happening? Why are we doing this? Why are we going with Aerith? And it's just like they have that whole like conversation in the forest wall where like we gotta, I can't remember. They're talking to the party and Aerith's not there. I don't get it. And then the whispers are trying to make you not go there. And then Sephiroth, like, why is Sephiroth there? It just feels like that was an event that happened in the original game and it had to happen. So we're going to put the events there. Anyway, spoilers for the future deep dive, Spencer. I know. That's why you come to streams, Javier, so you can hear my thoughts before we get there into the deep dives, right? Yeah, the chapter is confusing, right? Steve says it wasn't the theories when I married her, so she has a point. Nice. Were you hiding this part about you, this side of you that you were like a actual lore head, Steed, and that you wanted to create Final Fantasy content? And she's like, you want to do what? I'm kidding. But yeah, I don't understand like what happens. Swally says, which was another choice of the devs? Were they overloading our brains with intent, or was it an important part to experience this artwork of a game? Yeah. It's all like one big fuzzy nonsensical dream, isn't it? Yeah, it does feel like a dream. And if it's supposed to be a dream, okay, that's fine. But I don't like the dream trope, I'll be honest. Spoilers for future deep dives. Alyssa says, but that's what makes us huge fans versus average fan. We get so invested, we want to replay scenes and break them down over and over again, which is great, which I do love, right? But if you have to break down a scene over and over again in order for it to make sense, I think that's bad. Steve says, think of the scenes following each other as actual following each other and not happening separately. Okay. I'm like your wife. I don't remember what happened. I need to go back. Some people don't like homework, Alyssa. Oh, not even that. Remake wasn't out yet. I wasn't even gaming that much. Crazy, dude. Okay, cool.
I know. That's another topic.
Steve has to hide his browser history due to all the theory crafting. Oh, it's like that meme where like the wife's like, "Honey, are you looking at porn?" And he's like, "No," and it's like Steve's just looking at Final Fantasy VII lore videos. Oh, it's so good. Oh, or it's usually like the meme is like some guy's thinking about some tool he wants to like work on or something, you know. Very funny.
I don't like theories because I feel like it's disrespectful towards the creators.
Yeah.
I feel like as people who consume their art,
Yeah.
we should absolutely wait for them to give us the picture or the story that they wanted us to have.
Yeah.
So I don't even allow myself to go into theory territory, which is funny because I had 2 or 3 theories.
That's a
whatever.
very interesting
Maybe it's
take.
just my brain that wanted to have answers to these questions.
Yeah.
But I feel like what happened in Nibelheim is so important
Gotcha,
to the main
Steve.
story. I genuinely did not think about it because I just don't
Because
like
you don't
crafting
wanna-
theories.
Yeah. And I mean, if we don't craft theories, then how are we gonna look back on videos 5 years ago and say I was right? So like, it's a way for us to be right about stuff.
How are we
I
going to
can
say I
tell
was
you,
right?
and you know,
Is that your only goal, Steve, to say like then we're gonna find out that Steve's this like really nice guy, but then as soon as part 3 comes out, he's gonna just rub it all in our faces, be like, "I knew all along. That's why I did theory crafting." I'm kidding. I'm putting words in your mouth, obviously, just teasing.
it's just enjoying and speculating about the game.
As if I'm
No,
going to.
I have absolutely nothing against it. It's just that me, you know how weird I am about certain things.
Yeah.
I just don't like it.
But okay, but let me like if I was to pressure you into what do you think really happened?
Okay.
Because your perspective again is unique because you haven't played the game and you haven't played the original game, and
What I think
you've
really
heard
happened.
some stuff. Your subconscious might have remembered things that I said.
That is true, Alyssa.
And I think I might.
That is so true. That like the shippers want like the only thing that matters is like they cannot wait for the end of part 3 so they can just be like, "I told you so." Which is hilarious because that's what it all comes down to, a preference. It's like, yeah, like let's say Cloud ends up with Tifa. Great. I still think Aerith is like, I like Aerith better. I don't care that like you're like, if you that's your ship, it's like, it's canon. He never liked Aerith. You were wrong. It's so funny to me because like it's just preference. It's okay. That's hilarious that they're ready to do that, Alyssa. Interesting take. Art in my book lives through theory. What was the creators feeling as they drew? What experience? Yeah, this is I like what she's saying here because she's like saying be respectful to the creators and wait for them to tell their story. But on the flip side, what Swally's saying, and I think what Steed would argue, is saying that like, well, theory crafting is just my way on how I interpret the art, right? Because this is something that I talk about a lot. Same thing with the shipping community. It's like, that's fine. Like you can have your canon ship or whatever. This is who ends up with who. But it's like, you can't police how I interpret the art. Stop trying to do it, right? So if like you put something out there, it's no longer yours, right? Like the developers don't own Final Fantasy VII anymore. Like they might have created it, but when you release anything to the world, everyone has an opinion on it. Anyone can talk about it. That's the crazy thing about art. That's why it's so vulnerable to release something out there. I'm sure Steed didn't think that when he released that some guy like me, Spencer, was just gonna spend the entire stream just reacting to what he put out with his wife, right? I mean, maybe he did. Or like when I draw something, I'm drawing some storyboards right now, if you guys don't know, for our next deep dive about chapter 10 in Cosmo Canyon. And Jolie goes off on kind of explaining how we, because we've gotten a lot of feedback about how Jolie, things have to be spelled out for us and we don't like ambiguity. And it's like, well, no, you should have a little bit of ambiguity or whatever. She sets up a scenario and she has to, picture it. So she's like, Spencer, can you draw some storyboards for me? And I haven't drawn in like forever, but I was an animation major and I switched to computer science, but I was like this person who drew, right? But I haven't drawn in like 5 years. And so I'm nervous to like get these storyboards and put them out there. And, some people can look at them and be like, oh, those are good. Or some people look at them and they're crap or whatever. But once you release the art is no longer yours, right? It's just, that's how it is, right? So I have no problem with theory crafters because they are just dealing with the art that's put in front of them. And they, are coming up with, what they think is happening. And it's fun and interesting, but for someone like Steve's wife who doesn't, she says, I don't even engage with that. That's not a wrong way to interpret the art either. Maybe she doesn't want to interact with the art in that manner, which is totally fine, right? It's just this whole gatekeeping and policing of how people interpret art is dumb. There's my rant. I didn't go to rant camp, but yeah.
Biased because I heard you say this before.
Okay.
And I have it in my mind.
Mm-hmm.
What I think really happened is that Cloud was never there.
Mm-hmm.
Zach was there,
Okay.
and maybe
Yeah, see, there's that moment with Zach being there, right? It's like he actually is like he's glitching out, but he realizes like, oh, that was Zach. So that was like some answers. I will admit that Rebirth was starting to give us stuff, even though it's not the clear view, right? They're starting to change Cloud's narrative. D-Jamp is it the Jamp? The Jamp HTX says each ending seems like it's written to be like the end of a season of a popular streaming show where a bunch of stuff just happens to hook the audience and make people buy the next one. Yeah, I mean, I kind of feel like that in some ways, right? But like, as we were talking about how you interpret the art, there's a lot of people who have kind of, they know the events of the original and they know kind of the stuff that's happening. So maybe they're doing all these things to hook you, but they're not giving you enough story. I think that I may be interpreting what you're saying wrong, but right. But, maybe they're just doing stuff to hook you and buy the next game or whatever. And it could be that, but I feel that way at the ending of Rebirth. Like they didn't give us enough. They're just saying like, trust us and play the third one, because then we'll give you more answers rather than making a decision to do something, right? DJ says close enough, right? Yeah. Anyway, but Steed also says, talking to Aerithlis, my only gripe with crashing out is a crashing out if the ending doesn't match what you wanted expected, not necessarily whether it was good or bad. Outside of that, each their own. Totally. This is like, I don't care about like, I just want Square to commit, and I think they should like piss off a bunch of their fans. I think that would be better than trying to have an ending like you get what you want and you get what you want and you get what you want, because then it doesn't have that impact. That's like saying like Aerith's death never happened, right? Because if Aerith's death never happened, then like she lives and then it's fine. But then it's like the whole motivation, the whole issue with Cloud going through like this, it's like he did have, whether you think he has a romantic relationship with Aerith or it's just like a friendship, her death is a catalyst for the story. So if you removed that from the story, then you have issues, right? And then if you say, well, okay, well, we'll make it better to those people who want her to live and those people who don't want her to live or whatever, you can pick and choose. It's like this dilutes your story and it makes it worse, okay? So, yeah, I know games give us the ability to choose and do these certain things, but I don't like the idea of them saying, like, you can have your cake and eat it too. It's like, commit to a story, and this is where I feel like they're floundering a bit, because they're kind of saying, like, well, there's a chance she might be alive in a different section of the live stream and the memories. Anyway, sorry.
Zach survived the drowning. And he told Cloud whatever happened in Nibelheim.
Mm-hmm.
And then Zach died in a different way.
Mm-hmm.
Or maybe he's still alive. I don't know.
Yeah.
Nice. But
we do see him
something
alive
happened to Cloud, and he's actually now just portrayed Zach because Zach was cooler than him. Exactly.
Okay.
I don't know.
She has some good
thoughts
thoughts about it.
What does that make you think of Cloud then?
I never liked Cloud. I'm sorry.
You don't know him yet.
Okay.
I've never liked Cloud.
That's a fair. I think that
You don't know Cloud
You're
yet.
asking the right questions. I
she is asking the right
too long into this topic because this is like a huge spoiler territory.
Yeah, and I'm not interested because I don't want to be proven right or wrong.
Yeah,
I just want to know the story.
of course.
And then
Yeah,
I can
I get that
criticize the
take.
story if I don't.
Actually,
Yeah,
let me
once-
ask you one
once
last
she
question
knows.
on that.
Yeah.
Do you think that the answer to the Nibelheim event lies or goes hand in hand to the answer of whatever is going on with the worlds?
The anti-Steed. The yin and yang,
Like, off the
Steed.
top
You
of
married
your
to
head.
each
You don't
other
need
for
to
good
think about it
reasons.
as
No,
much.
no,
Okay.
no, I don't think so.
Cloud is a
You don't feel
peach.
like they're connected.
We love
Okay.
Cloud.
So, what do you make of the white, black materias and the empty materia? Remember the empty materia that
Yeah.
Cloud holds towards the
Yeah.
end, right?
Okay, can I ask something? You guys can spoil this for me if you want. Is there an empty materia in the original, or is that purely for the re-trilogy? I think it's re-trilogy, right? So it's just white materia and black materia. The whole clear materia. See, okay. This is like a physical. Okay, switching to rant cam. Hang on. All right, so there is like a physical representation of something that's materia that Aerith has that is proving to us that they are making some type of change, right? So if there is no empty materia, in the original game, how can they be following the events of the original game as a reimagining if the whole reason to get the empty materia to have it white again or whatever is for Cloud to go through the live stream to like another world in a date with Aerith so he can give it to her? Why would they spend so much time on that if it's not, if it doesn't matter, if it's all in his head, right? I know that, keep in mind that materia equals memories, and Aerith wanted those memories back, sure, but they had to go through, like, the multiverse in order for her to get it back. I know it's not the multiverse, and everyone gets mad about the multiverse theory or whatever. Like, whatever is, the live stream can just explain it all, whatever. Sephiroth is, like, looking for Aerith in those other worlds, and then, like, Aerith pushes Cloud away with the materia that's like the white materia that wholly can happen. Like, why go through all those hoops if there's nothing that's changing? Why can't they just have the white materia that falls out of like Aerith's hair or whatever when she dies? And like, right? Red herring. Keep in mind that materia goes to memories. Your shipper heart. No, I'm not like, I don't care if Aerith dies or not. But like, what? I'm talking about the materia itself. Why go through all this trouble to get the white materia back? Because, like, you know, I know that to me makes it seem like the whole like Omni Aerith thing exists. Because if Aerith is having that conversation with Red, right, where Red is giving like this is back in chapter 6 when they're at Costa del Sol, right? And then she's like, what would you say this color is? None. And they'd have that whole conversation about how their memories are, you know, like Steve is saying that their memories, the materia equals memories. And she's like, well, my memories are gone. And they're forgetting this stuff. Like, and Red's forgetting it too when Aerith touched him or whatever. So like, they're both losing their ability to see the future. And she's like, and Red says something like, those memories were precious to you. And she's like, very, or whatever, right? And so she wants, like, there's a motivation to get those memories back or to get the white materia back. And I know that it like has holy and there's other things, like there's ramifications for that at the end of part 3. Like, I know that, right? But like the way they go back to retcon the things that happened that they set up with their weird clear materia and the whispers stilling that happened in Remake so that they can make it work in part 3, they have to go through like interdimensional like multiverse whatevers to get it back on track. And that they're the ones who created this whole mess in the first place, right? So let me see what you're saying. One of the so many reasons why I feel these are more sequels than remakes. Yes, it's like, okay, but then people who say this isn't a sequel, like they will criticize you and say you're dumb for thinking this. But I'm like, they are literally doing this, and there's a physical manifestation in the clear materia and the white materia right in front of our face. This isn't us thinking about it too hard. This is literally just, these are events that are happening, and they like take time to show you, hey, look at this. This materia is clear. Do you notice that it's clear? I'm going to give a whole cutscene for you to pay attention. And then we're going to go through a whole part in chapter 13 or chapter 14 where you go on a date with Aerith and she gives you the white materia back from another place. Gaslighting. Don't tell me that I don't see these things. I know how to use that word. Alyssa says also won't talk about it for possible spoilers. Everything's a spoiler. That Spencer, my Clara boy, laugh out loud. But dang, don't I want to? You guys just keep wanting to tell me. But Omni Aerith in certain theories existed in OG as well, Spencer. Okay, whatever. But if it like make it make sense, Square. I always say make it make sense. I got no lips. I moved my fingers. She said extremely. Okay, Steed says, so if you take it literally, it means wherever we were, there was something wrong with the world where the empty material was. Okay? Yeah, there was a lot of breadcrumbs across everything, but also this leans heavily into what's the point of the white materia to begin with, so spoiler territory too. Yeah. Like, I know that that hasn't been answered yet. I think it's like, isn't it used to cast holy? I don't know, but I don't know how it all works, but Javier says Final Fantasy VII Re-Trilogy is Donnie Darko. There it is. I said it. I've never seen Donnie Darko, so I don't get the reference. But Dale Glenn Eagles says think of it as empty, and the symbolism gets heavy. Okay. I just like how they managed to keep new and old players on their toes. thinking. I agree. So like, this is the part that I think is cool. It sets it apart from all the other remakes. You make a good point that it's like old players are on their toes and new players like me are on their toes, right? But I just feel like they have to, like, part 3 is the most important game in any trilogy gaming franchise in the history of the world. Because if there's so many questions that they have to answer, and they're the reason why all these questions exist. They didn't have to. They could have made it more straightforward, right? Steed says we need to apply the same logic to the black materia too, though. Cool, yeah, okay, because Cloud isn't supposed to have it. Okay, I don't know if you're saying if Cloud isn't supposed to have it now in the remake, or if he is, because as far as I know, this is how he got the materia. If it's different in OG, I don't know that. Alyssa says the existence of the clear materia could be them trying to make it make sense. Okay. I'm okay with that. Like the Geese introduction, like, you know, where they say how the black materia came into existence. Everyone, like, do people have a problem with that? The Gee? I think it's actually cool. Which may not actually work out once it's all said and done. We shall see. DJamp says, with the amount and degree of mysteries they've set up, I don't think there's any answers to them that would be satisfying to wait the better part of a decade to find out. I mean, they said they're going to answer all the questions, DJamp. They said it. I'll hold them to it, too. Final Fantasy VII Remake is the most important game in history. We call it Remake because Barrett's going to make a cake with Izo. And he's going to have a party with Marlene. It's not going to happen, but Jolie thinks it will. I don't think Jolie actually thinks that will happen, but anyway. Yeah, it's like two almost completely different experiences for audiences, which is like a cool thing if they can pay it off for both of them. Steed says, I meant it within Rebirth because he gave it to Sephiroth. Yeah, he has it at the end. Okay, cool. Okay. Gotcha. I agree it'll be the most important game ever among 42-year-olds, all us old Final Fantasy fans. The most important game of our lives. And no other young kids will care. Chicobro says, I don't like how the white materia physically manifests from the dream world into a real world unless it's not a real world. Yeah, I don't know. See, they have to make it make sense. So either something happened than what we saw, he didn't give it, or something extra happened that we didn't see. Sephiroth slipped it in. Smiley face. Diabolical. Okay. Look at you guys just go. Which black materia, the fake one or the real one? See, yeah, that's another thing, right? It'll happen. Spencer or disappointment will reign supreme. Yeah, we'll see. This is where we get a bad rap because I just have these questions, and I think it's normal to have these questions. I'm still fascinated by these games. I'm super excited for part 3, and I think it's okay for me to criticize what they've been doing up to this point, because they're obviously trying to create a mystery. But if they don't pay it off, we will tell you. You are calling your wife a liar, Spencer? Divorce? No, Jolie's the best. The real one, Sephiroth, already has kind of summons in using the fake one. Still a mystery, this. And then ask Cloud to give it to him. Gotcha. Or maybe the Whisper we see fly by Cloud and Aerith when they were passed out of, stuck it in his pocket, question mark. I don't know if you're allowed, if that's a joke or true, but I like the image of a Whisper stealing and putting it in his pocket. Swally says, I just say I can see multiple paths that they can take, make everything link up, completely different from the GOT where the books, it's probably Game of Thrones, where the books and TV show had no chance to tie it all together. Cake, refund. Nice. You mean the White Whisperer gave it to them, BM? That would defy the purpose, I feel. Yeah. Okay, let's keep going. This is fun. I'm not like, this is great. I'm just having a great time.
What do you make of that whole situation?
What I make of them is very simple. I think that the black materia, they told us basically what it is. You can destroy the world with the black materia.
Yeah.
Take them at your word.
If it's a spell or...
Well, they said it summons meteor.
Okay.
That's what we saw in the temple.
I did not catch that, but I know that it can be used to destroy the world. Yeah. The white materia.
Yeah. We're talking about the full one, right? Yeah. The one that Aerith gets towards the end.
I feel like since it was in Aerith's position,
look at this,
and she is the.
Hey, everybody, pay attention to this white materia. I know that it matters in the end, but.
A surviving ancient, so probably
it
has
sure
the
it's
memories
important.
And the souls and whatever is important and abstract of the
Aerith's
whole
mom.
ancient people.
Okay.
So I think it's really, really important. I don't know what they can
Hey, what's up, Drumjod? I just got here. Who are we hearing from in the interview? Okay, this is Steed. If you don't know Steed, he does lore videos and he's done a lot of awesome stuff on Final Fantasy VII. He's you guys should go subscribe to Steed's channel. I think it's just Steed. What is it? Let's see. Yeah, Steed, Steed. You guys should go subscribe to him. He makes good content, but this is an interview with his wife, who's not a like Final Fantasy VII, lore person like he is. She plays like she's more of a casual gamer. She's played like Red Dead Redemption 2 and Last of Us, and then she recently played through Final Fantasy VII Remake and Trilogy. And Rebirth. Man, I cannot get the names of these games straight.
Could use it for, but it has that power of having the whole memory of the ancients, etc.
Do you think there is a specific reason as to why Aerith specifically made sure she had?
And the point of the interview, Drumjod, is that like she has no context of the original. She's just giving her honest thoughts of like the story up until this point. And Steed, who's doing the interview, he's asking her questions about the game without trying to spoil part 3 for her. She's played through Remake and Rebirth.
She took back the white materia right when the black materia was
What are you talking about, Steed? We're still watching it and it's super fun. How do we watch it this long? I don't know. Maybe I'm biased. Everything that we put out is like 3 hours long. So this is normal, dude.
covered. I mean, it's white to black. It's not too hard to think of a connection between the two.
I don't even understand your question.
So, chapter 13 of Rebirth.
Okay.
Cloud gets the black materia. The whole sequence with Sephiroth happens. Him and Aerith fall from that branch, whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
so
fascinating.
the black materia is with Sephiroth. That's what we understood.
Yes.
And so right away is when Aerith gives the white materia to Cloud, and then Cloud gives it to her back in the forest.
Yes.
Yeah,
so
Steed's
do you
great.
think there is a link there? Or did it just seem like that just, you don't know what to make of it?
I mean, I don't know why she gave it back.
She got it back, guys. Look at her.
So Aerith gave the white materia to Cloud, and then he went to the forest.
Look at her, dude. Look at her just get those memories back. Is that her right there? Boom.
So
She's
Aerith
like,
gave the white materia to Cloud,
I know what to do.
and then he went to the forest. So it's a
I need to go pray in some weird underwater temple thing that I have no idea where that's at. And that's me mocking it because I don't really understand the sequence of event from like this forest to where she goes.
different world, supposedly. He went to the forest, and she gave him the empty materia, and she took from him the white materia that the other Aerith gave him.
Okay, so I think
So it's like Aerith smuggled the white materia through the worlds to herself.
Okay, but
whatever
I
that
think
means.
she gave it to him the first time because maybe you need the white materia in order to defeat whatever the black materia is going to bring. But I have no idea.
But it's hard to like make it.
It was.
Okay.
I'm sorry, but by the end it was very complicated. I left with more questions than I had
Okay.
before I played Rebirth.
Me
So
too.
let me rewind to chapter 18 of Remake then.
What is chapter 18?
It's the last chapter.
Okay.
What did you make of everything that happens from the moment Sephiroth pops up in the expressway until the moment you fight him or until the last conversation he has with Cloud? What's your take on what happened there?
Yeah,
I think that was
it's
a very
very
important
refreshing
moment
to
in
hear
the story
from her
because literally
perspective.
that's when they decided to set their fate in stone, basically.
Wait, what are they doing here? They're doing something with their fate. No, nothing to do with fate. This is all the original's all going to play out.
Set their fate in stone.
Yes. That's when they chose to go against whatever was going to happen, was meant to happen, and they changed it.
Okay.
This is my interpretation as well, right? Whatever was going to happen, was going to happen. But then we changed it. So, of course, me not playing the original, the whole meta conversation around like changing fate and the whispers and stuff, I didn't realize like this isn't how events happen. Like this isn't how the plate fell. These aren't the things. But then they forced it to happen in Remake. I learned about that after playing Remake. So I have this like warped perception in my mind that, okay, like so things didn't play out exactly as they did in the in the OG. So I obviously think of this part as like you're kind of fighting against the whispers, right? So there's some sort of fate shenanigans happening, right? Boom, she changed fate. She changed the gate to the white there, Spencer. That's true. That is true. It was all black and spooky, but let's go back. Look at that black gate, that black
They're
materia.
filmed in stone.
Let's
Yes.
watch Aerith do
That's when
her
they
magic.
chose to go against whatever was going to happen, was meant to happen, and they changed
Boom. Aerith
Okay.
changed
it
it.
by stepping towards that thingy and following
The portal?
Yes,
And it's all
and following
sparkly now and pretty instead
Okay.
of spooky.
And what did you make of the conversation that he had with Cloud one-on-one at the Edge of Creation?
On the edge of creation, on the moon in space. I think when the astronauts of Artemis 2 were going around the moon, they saw Sephiroth and Cloud fighting on the dark side of the moon.
In Remake, the first one?
I did
Okay,
not
dumb
understand
joke,
a single
but
thing you
timely.
said.
We're all the same.
Okay.
You know, don't worry about
I'm not
that.
even gonna pretend that
I don't
have
know
an
either. I have
interpretation,
no
whatever
idea what
was
that
said
means.
between them.
Now,
She doesn't know
like
either.
a very sensitive question. As someone who does not know the story, if I tell you something like you'll never see the truth with such clouded eyes, like what Sephiroth says a couple of times already, right? For example, like how do you understand that sentence? For example, I know you might not have a clear, like, what do you think he means, or who do you think he's talking to?
I think that the Cloud that we are playing with now, he is extremely different from the Cloud that he was 5 years ago. And maybe, and something happened to him in those 5
I know the spoiler right there.
years where he hated the Cloud that he was, and he is now portraying another Cloud that people
think I
are
know
not
more than I
actually-
should.
like, that's not the real him. Maybe he was actually a bad guy. Maybe he was fan of whatever Sephiroth was planning, and then something happened to him, and when he woke up, he's just like, okay, I'm just gonna cosplay Zack now because I lost who I am, and he was the closest person to me, and I'm just gonna.
But this
take
doesn't
on his
really relate
personality.
to you'll never see the truth with such clouded eyes, right?
Yeah,
Or
well,
is there a link?
I think Cloud is named Cloud for a reason.
Obviously.
Because I feel like in these stories,
I agree.
no name is chosen.
Yeah, Aerith is an anagram for Earth.
Yeah, and I think Cloud reflects the fact that he, as you always say, is an unreliable character.
Yeah.
You cannot trust anything he said, and also his truth or the way events happen from his point of view is never the real thing. And maybe this is why he named
Maybe
he's
he's
named Cloud. Like everything
It's
about
cloudy.
him is
Clouded eyes?
Yeah, it's not clear.
Okay,
at
so that's the
all.
link you make between the
Yeah,
two.
yeah.
It's such an interesting perspective.
However, I why is Sephiroth named Sephiroth?
Well, it has to.
She's like,
It
Sephiroth.
sounds great.
it does have. I think it's
yeah.
rooted in Jewish
mysticism.
mysticism. Yeah, with Kabbalah, I believe. Is,
Yeah.
See,
I
that's
mean,
like
there's-
that's like a deep cut, Steed. Well done. I have no idea. It's like Sephiroth. I don't know. I'm just gonna trust you. I don't know if that's true, but shout out.
the Prof Noctis
Just
is a
sounds cool.
religious studies teacher that I showed you the other day.
Shout out,
He's in
Prof.
the University of Alabama, I believe. He also makes content
Okay.
on Final Fantasy, and so he really dove into a lot of that. So
Bunch of Final Fantasy nerds in the chat, everybody. I'm just kidding. I love them. Love you guys.
the reason why I asked that is to understand what you make of the story as someone who did not play the original game, in terms of, do you feel that there are things you are missing other than what will be answered?
What I feel in summary is that Sephiroth knows Cloud more than Cloud knows himself.
Ooh.
Sephiroth knows things about Cloud that he
Yes.
does not know.
Yes,
Well, that's interesting.
That's kind of how
that's
I
what I
feel
know.
too.
That's how I feel.
That like he's always
do you
talking
feel
to
that
Cloud
Sephiroth
like
is
he
the only
doesn't
one
really
who
know
does?
what's going on.
Yes,
Okay.
because as far as I know, or as far as we know,
You're doing great, Steve.
Cloud did not have contact with anyone from the party in the 5 years.
It's such a tricky game that you're playing through this whole interview because you're like trying not to spoil her, but then at the same time you're just, you're like, you have questions and you want to see where, gauge your knowledge, right? Which is really interesting, right? That just makes this video super interesting.
Where like Tifa asked him, "Where were you?" So
Yeah.
obviously he was not with her.
No.
It does
So the
make you
version
realize
of Cloud
that
that she knows is
doesn't
the
really make
one
sense.
before he joined Shinra to be a soldier.
Right.
So, and I feel like Cloud joined Shinra to be a soldier in the most crucial years of his development. And
Yeah.
who was part of the soldiers, that was Sephiroth. And he was actually like very close to Sephiroth. So to me, Sephiroth knows him better. I don't know.
Okay. So they might have worked together or something like that? Is that what you're implying? Or
He
like-
might even be part of his plan. He might even like be
What do you mean part of his plan?
of Sephiroth's plan to destroy the planet.
Yeah,
or bring
right.
it
The-
back.
the-
don't throw
Tifa
like
Yeah,
that.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. I'm trying to phrase this in a way that I'm not big in the question. Do you feel any less than people who know the story about what was told so far?
I have
Not-
no idea what you just said.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of a good
You're
one.
doing a good job of trying to like not spoil, and then I like how she's just blunt. She's like, I don't know what you're even saying.
To phrase it, but at the same
Let's see here. Prof Noctis goes into detail about Tiferet, also spelled Tifereth, Tefereth, and Tifareth, Hebrew, beauty and splendor. Wow, that's why he's got like a PhD, or he did his didn't he do his dissertation on like Final Fantasy 15 or something? Shout out, Prof Noctis. Also go follow him. You guys do all the stuff. Tifereth.
time it's kind of challenging.
Mhm.
So there are things in part 3 that you're not
they're-
supposed to know.
They're buddies. You can't have Tifa without Aerith, guys. Let's take the shippers and let's all just give each other a big hug. It's fine.
Even those of us who played the story, we haven't seen them yet.
Okay.
We know things will get resolved a certain way.
Okay.
So I'm not asking about this stuff. I'm asking about what we have been shown so far.
Mm-hmm.
Within what we have been shown so far, other than we know where things can go because we have played the story, do you think that there are other aspects where we are targeted more by the story than new players? I'm talking about us as those who have played the OG.
Oh, obviously.
What can you give me like a general?
I
What are
can't.
examples that you can think of?
I can't. I've never played the original before, so I'm not gonna recognize things that they put for you guys, like Easter eggs or whatever.
Well, I'm not talking. Yeah, I'm not talking about Easter eggs. I'm talking about story, main
I like
story
that
wise.
answer.
Like when part 3 comes, can we both play it at the same time and just be like, okay, you don't? Do you feel like you need to go back and replay the OG before playing part 3? I guess is a more direct way of
No.
asking my question.
No, I think I don't know. Am I playing the same story that you played?
This is the whole
we're
sequel
playing the same
argument, right?
story.
No.
Yeah,
so
kinda
why
the
would
same
I need
games.
to play the original?
Well, because there is this whole conversation that remake. So it's a theory that remake is a continuation of the original game rather than a reimagining of it, right? Because of all the stuff that
She's
does
like,
not
"What are
exist
you
in the
talking
original game
about?"
that exists now, and we spoke about this the other day. So do you feel that? Does that stand out to you as someone who is playing the game for the first time, and you go, "Well, it feels like I'm really missing stuff, and I should go back and play the original to be able to understand what's going on here," or is it a case of, okay, they might understand things better, they might have Easter
No, it's okay. You totally lost her here, but then this is kind of like an argument for why it shouldn't be a sequel, which I like what she says, because she's like, why would they do that? You know, and if they want to, this is another Occam's razor argument saying like, if this, you know, if they wanted new players to come in and understand it, why would you make them do all this work, right?
X, but I'm just going through the story the same way that they would have done if they didn't know the story, for example.
Oh, I think it's going to be the same. I think it's going to be the same story.
Liz says, I don't think she feels that way until you bring this up because she knows the story isn't over. Yeah, that's true too. Like, there's still, for those of us that have never played it, we understand that there's more to the story. We just haven't seen it yet. Right, for bump the mic. Dale Glenn says, hey, here's the thing with that. So far, it seems that every Genova moment involves the physical presence of someone with Genova cells in them, the hooded guys. Oh, okay. You guys are talking about that. Your Genova bend people's perception.
Probably they're going to change some things, but they're not going to change
Like,
things
she's
as
good-
big
yeah.
as what
She'll
is
get
the
her
final
answers from
fate of
Fire.
Cloud, for example.
But what
or
makes you say
Sephiroth,
that
or-
as someone who did not play the original game? What makes you confident about that?
Capitalism?
In what
I
sense?
love this answer. That it's just like, we want the most people to buy our game, so why would you make them do all this stuff? It's just capitalism. It's so good.
They're, at the end of the day, they're developing stories for money.
Yeah.
And they said that this was a remake.
Mm-hmm.
And the original story was already very successful, so I don't see what they would.
Well,
It's
when you
always
phrase it
frickin'
this way, it's simple
capitalism.
enough. It's just that we, as old players, we get so convoluted with
Hey
ourselves
guys,
and with our theories
without capitalism, we wouldn't be getting all these games. All right.
that some of the simple explanations
need
like
'em.
yours now, which make total sense, we kind of just overlook them and we
Yeah.
consider that it's not something
It's a
even
great
worth
answer.
discussing
It's
anymore.
very good.
But the biggest challenge is just trying to understand whether this is something that it's just for me. The core question is: would you have to go back and do you feel the need to go back and play the OG before playing remake?
Have you seen the OG?
Part 3.
Do you
Have you seen the OG? What are you talking about? Of course he's seen it. This is is this your favorite? No, Final Fantasy VIII is your favorite game. You like it though. The toaster hands. Have you seen the toaster hands?
See how they look
Oh,
in
it's
the
so good.
OG?
Your wife
Like,
rules.
why
You
would
rule
give
too,
me that
Steve.
this one
Okay,
is
You
not
both
for
rule.
Do
me?
you feel that you need to know how
You
the OG
seen it?
ended before you go
I
into
ain't
part
playing
3?
those
Not
crap.
necessarily play
Okay,
it.
here's what's probably going to happen.
They're
Yeah.
just Legos.
When and if.
In all fairness, Final Fantasy VII basically looks like Roblox, and that's the most popular game platform in the world. Maybe Square should have leaned into that and just marketed towards like all the Roblox boys.
Not if. When
Just
I
kidding.
play part 3,
Yeah.
and I really, really love the story, and I
If.
can't get enough of the story,
Yeah.
I'm probably going to get curious about the original,
Okay.
so that I can have like a very comprehensive idea of what is this.
That's kind of my take too. So I'm a host now on the Final Fantasy Files. So Jolie's played it, Ernest has played it, but I will go back and play all the compilation stuff after part 3. I've just decided not to do it because I want to have somewhat of a fresh perspective because I already kind of know a lot of the spoilers, but when we go to places like I told you, I didn't know what Junon was, and it was like really cool for me not to know that. I'm excited for these moments to happen in part 3 because I'm going to be like, I had no idea. It's still going to be, there's so much that's going to be a surprise to me, which I'm excited about. And then I'll go back and I intend to play Crisis Core. I plan to play the OG. I intend to play all the stuff that everyone's like, don't play or play. So, yeah.
Epic story that is Final Fantasy VII.
Yeah.
But I don't feel like, as someone who only played this version, I don't think that the makers are stupid enough to only target OG players.
Well, they have
I think
recommended.
they would want to onboard anyone
She's
who's
right.
willing to play.
Yeah,
the game.
exactly. They have
Yeah.
even recommended to those who have not played the original to actually wait and play the remakes if that's their first experience, which kind of makes sense because you're talking about 2024.
And
game versus
probably
a
I'm not
20
even gonna play the OG. Like those
19.
graphics.
She's like,
no, thank you. I know.
It's a very
No,
hard thing
thank
to
you.
do 30
I
years
am
later,
not
especially for someone
Maybe
who
I
doesn't
will
play
watch it
video
somewhere
games.
on YouTube or something, but I don't think
Okay,
I'll
but-
ever do that. No.
But
Don't
if the
blame her.
story is told and you finish part 3 and it turns out that this was a continuation, how would you feel as a player who did not play the OG?
If it were a continuation
Yeah.
of the OG,
Yeah.
why would they present all the building blocks of the story and make it take 90% of remake?
Because
Wouldn't
the
that
objective.
be stupid and a waste of
I'm,
time?
I'm playing the devil's advocate here.
He's
The
like, I'm not
objective is
saying
that
it's a
you
that's
have
so cool.
a story that is at the same time a remake of the original that new players can experience while serving for a sequel,
Yeah.
quote unquote, meta sequel, continuation, whatever we want to call it, to close the story for good because supposedly the original story was not closed.
Was it an open ending, the original story?
I personally don't think so, but there are people who believe that. I don't think that people believed that
Don't
before
make me
Remake was
defend
released. I think people started only believing that once they finished Remake and were like, oh, this is very mysterious. Maybe the story was not closed and now it needs to be closed.
But in fairness, Steed, so like, don't make me defend them. And Alyssa, I think I love Alyssa. I love her takes. But I also, I say this, I'm not gonna. Well, I will defend the sequel people here because I think they've been doing a lot of things to make you think that something's up. It might not be a sequel necessarily, but we've discussed numerous examples as to why they're doing things differently, and how people could come to that conclusion is not like a total dumb, it's like, it's not, with I cannot speak right now. It's too late. It's not this is not how you say it, but out of the realm of possibilities. Is that what you say? For that to be the truth, all right? Like they're doing all these things to change the original and do all these things. So, yeah, your wife's explanation is really good, and I think that she's right. I think it's going to be like an amalgamation of the two things, where I think they are doing things that are different, and I think that things could potentially change, and if they don't, then maybe they have a reason for why they did the stuff. But like just the inclusion of the whispers and all the things that are happening, it's like you can't get mad at the sequel bros because it's obviously they're setting something up, right? So that's all I'll say.
But I personally don't think that people were, violently suggesting that the story was not closed before Remake was released. So it's kind of a retconned perception of people going now, oh, it was supposed to be closed.
I
But-
did not know that.
But you
No.
wouldn't know that because you don't know what they're
Yeah, that's a little weird. Like the meta stuff where the dialogue is speaking to the players and not the characters, where it's like they're talking to you. Although it would be awesome. That would be awesome if they did that, right? They opened a whole can of worms with Advent Children, said Biggles. I don't like Advent Children. I've been on the record of saying I think it's a terrible movie. So it's funny. I think a lot of times people are like, well, we want to retcon that so like sequel works, you know? But anyway.
Story's closed. But how would you feel as a new player if the game is telling you just to play and you will understand towards the end the whole FF7 story if you want to experience it? Yeah. And it turns out that this is actually the continuation of something that you did not know in the original.
I honestly do not care as long as...
Okay, so Alyssa, though, we got to talk about this. So sorry to cut off the show, but Alyssa says, Advent Children is also not in my headcanon of the Final Fantasy VII universe, right? There's so many people who are like, well, it's just not canon in my interpretation of it, which is fine. But then, like, I feel like people, my wife included, Jolie's like, they need to just decanonize Advent Children, right? Which leads to a lot of people saying, oh, great, like the sequel will get rid of that because all the stuff that the characters ended up doing in Advent Children. I know that's not what you're saying, Alyssa, but it's like the retelling of this. I think a lot of people want to will it into existence because they don't want that to be the ending of the story, you know? Yeah, canon can still be terrible. I don't like the ending. I don't think Advent Children is a good or a good place for the story of Final Fantasy VII to end. Maybe there's more. I don't know if Dirge of Cerberus is after. I don't know the timeline of Final Fantasy VII. But right, it's interesting at least, right, what they're doing. I agree more with Steed's wife here, right? But yeah, recontextualizing it, absolutely, but totally changing and retconning and making sure they decanonize it, maybe not such a doable thing.
I'm giving a full story and answers to my questions in the 3 parts. I do not care what happens in the OG. And I think that the developers do not care as well because they are recreating and adapting the OG to this. Yeah. But I feel like they would want to stay faithful to the source material, and they would want to give a complete and final project. Like
she doesn't care.
It's gonna be very dangerous for them to count on people to go play the OG with the shitty graphics and Zoomers getting used to being used to amazing
not Zoomers,
graphics.
Ourselves. I mean, I replay the OG because I love it, but I wouldn't go and replay it.
I'm talking about the new players who didn't even know what 90s games look like.
Yeah.
It will be like shooting themselves in
them.
the foot if they present something that you will need to go back and play the
they love
game
it.
in
Roblox
order to
is
understand
huge.
this game that you have invested, 60 plus hours into playing. That's insane.
So
I think
she's smart.
So you're talking about it from a developer marketing perspective.
Yeah.
Once again. I'm trying to bring it back to story because I am of the same opinion as you, but given
Toolman says, an important detail to this debate is that Remake was originally planned for 15 years ago, back when the compilation was still fresh in people's minds. It was intended to be a compilation game, which is, so like if it was an addition to that, right? Like I know, I don't know if Toolman's totally on the sequel theory, but I do think I like Toolman because he's always bringing up the things that are obvious and in front of our eyes, and people just don't want to like. I have not gotten a satisfactory answer as to why like the whispers and the white materia and the clear materia. They're like, okay, but it's always a convoluted like, well, you don't know yet, and you have to have. It's about memories, and you pay attention to this. It's like, okay, cool. Like if that's true, we'll find out. But what they're telling me so far is that like stuff is happening, and don't tell me not to believe my eyes and ears. So we'll see. Part 3 is interesting.
That we're trying to make an objective conversation. I'm always going to push other talking points. So let's presume, let me give you an example. Let's presume part 3 ends and Aerith actually did not die. She was alive in one of the worlds.
The question.
There was a world where Aerith is alive.
Was she alive in the OG?
No. Okay. We saw visions of her, but it was clearly implied that she was not alive. And in the movie that happens take place,
a sword went through
later,
her back and out her stomach.
In some fashion,
and then she slumps
implied
over.
that it's symbolism rather than her being alive. Well, how would you feel if it's revealed at the end of part 3 that she died in the OG and that in Remake she survived somewhere, and that world is real.
They will have to give me a damn good explanation for why the others could not see her at the end. If they do that, yes, I will take it. Fine, no worries. But if they don't, and I just have to accept the fact that magically she's actually still alive, then that's shitty writing. I'm sorry.
Yes.
Okay.
Preach.
It's a good way to put it.
Yes.
And what
it's
about
true.
the movie that you have not watched yet, which comes 2 years later?
This is
after
funny
the
about
OG?
Advent Children.
It's fully canon to the OG. So it's supposed to be a continuation of the OG. But because we have had references to it during Remake, which you might or might not know, you probably don't know because you have not watched the movie. There is a theory once again within the same breath, which presumes that the objective of the whole trilogy is to not end with that movie. So how would you feel as someone is to not end with that movie? Is to have a story that does not lead to that movie? Because we have seen
that's the goal of the developers?
of the trilogy. Like, it's a theory. It's not confirmed by the developers.
Okay.
So how would you feel about the
Decanonize
fact that imagine part 3 is done and you are told that what the end or resolution of part 3 is to avoid events that were portrayed in a movie that was released and was supposed to be 2 years after this story, but because of the things we have done in the Remake trilogy, that is not the future anymore.
Again, that is stupid. That is very stupid.
But how would you feel as a
when
player?
you want to put art out there as someone who creates art, you want it to last forever, to make sense forever. Why would I invest a shit ton of money and energy and creativity on a movie that is supposedly the goal for it was to, I don't know, tie up some loose ends that were left in the game, give the players more material because they really love the game and they still want to see more of the characters while keeping it faithful to the original story? Why would I take my investment and make it
I wish I had arguments this good in my
Why would I do that? That is insane.
Well, some people say it's not
That is
obsolete.
insane.
It's actually now the past of Remake.
What the fuck does that mean?
So what
So
that
good.
would mean, I'm trying to explain these
great,
things as best
right?
as I understand them, because I have also been trying to explain to people, can you give me like one logical framework that explains this so that I understand what I'm debating against? And I've not been able to get to the answer. But anyways, just in the interest of balance once again.
It's good though. You can't go wrong with the capitalism argument because every time a developer gets on and Hamaguchi is just telling you something in one of his 1,000 interviews that we've had before part 3, and they say stuff, it's like, it's all just marketing speak. They just want you to buy the game. They're like, actually, I think Nomura said something where he's like, you could play Rebirth without playing Remake. Rebirth is a great place to start. Of course they're going to tell you to start with Rebirth because that's the game that just came out, right? It's their job to sell stuff.
It goes
So
OG, Advent Children, which is the movie, Remake, New End, which is not Advent Children. It's within the same continuity. It's not something.
Yeah, he's talking about like the sequel theory. Toolman says, I'm not even a hard sequel person. I just acknowledge that the game clearly references the original as though it exists inside the same world. Yeah. And these are the things that I cannot like get away from. I see them. I know that they're there. So that's why I'm interested in part 3, because they're obviously, they've got 1 foot in, 1 foot out. So we're going to see what they say. And Dale says, other perspective is that they are changing things and couldn't do that too much in Remake and Rebirth because half of the buyers wouldn't show up for part 3. Yeah.
That does not exist anymore. It's just that the events of OG happened, and then the movie happened, and then the events of OG happened again under a different form in Remake in a way that does not lead to the movie this time.
I'm sorry, that makes absolutely no sense.
As a new player, how would you feel? So it does not make
As
sense.
a
but
new
how
player, I
would you
didn't
feel?
even know that there was a movie. I do not care about the movie. As a new
This is totally based right here. As a new player, I don't care about the movie. I didn't know there was a movie, right? Sometimes we get so in the weeds because we know what Advent Children is and we know what Crisis Core is. And like Swally was saying earlier, right? To be fair, they were like, play Crisis Core. I think it was Swally. If it wasn't, no big deal, right? Right. So like this is something that like you cannot expect the average player to do all the outside required reading to understand your story. So the story has to stand alone. And if it's a trilogy, then you can say, yes, you have to wait till all 3 parts come out. And that's like the grace that I'm giving it right now. But if it's only understandable by watching Advent Children and playing Crisis Core and understanding like all this stuff, then it fails. It's a failure if that happens. Full stop. Because so many people won't even consume this other media. But in another scenario, if it does enough to explain the events of the story, and the casual player that just plays Remake, Rebirth, and whatever Part 3 is, and it gives you a satisfactory enough answer, but your enjoyment of the experience could be amplified by doing all the other compilation stuff, then that's a success. And I've said this a million times, but it's true.
Player, I want them to tell the entire story in the games that I played.
Okay.
Not everyone is supposed to
that
be a
summarizes
super
it.
fan who's going to look for other material, whether it's canon or not,
Yeah.
and so
that's
that
so
they
good.
can complete their entire vision. No, I need to be completely satisfied with the 3 games that I've played.
Good
That's
That
point.
makes
it.
total sense.
Good point,
Two
Rhapsody.
questions. Are there things you wanted to talk about that we did not
Yeah.
talk about?
Anyway, so she gets in and talks about certain things, talking about things being silly, her honest thoughts. She talks about her gripes with the female characters. She goes into some awesome stuff about why she doesn't like. She's like, Tifa is like totally capable and kicks butt. There's a quote that she says about like she's stronger than Cloud. She's a better fighter than Cloud. Give Tifa a sword and then she can win, right? That not every female character should be like this damsel in distress. And she's like, I understand that this game was made for a majority of male audience back in the 90s or whatever, right? She's got some really good points here, which she talks about later, and there's a lot of other stuff here. And it's actually very interesting. I would say we, go into certain stuff. Oh yeah, she talks about the Kate Sith chapter that she hates, the box throwing one, which is hilarious. Drumjod says, I actually recommend the first time Remake only play Crisis Core if they absolutely loved Remake, really want to know it all. For a lot of players, I think playing Crisis Core after Remake as their first could turn them off to this from the series. Interesting. Yeah. I mean, I'll go play it. I know that some people love it, some people hate it, and that it's kind of grading a little bit. But anyway, so I'm not going to finish the whole video tonight, and we're not going to have time to get to the OG Final Fantasy, but I do have it booted up on my Switch. We will be able to test it out, but I'm going to toy around with kind of playing on stream, right? Steve says, yeah, Crisis Core is painful coming off Remake. Different, right? Not going to lie, I had fun with the box throws. Zage, you're the first person I've ever heard say that. But yeah, you should go and check out Steed's video to finish the rest. Go give him a watch. Go give him subscribe to his channel. Go give him a listen. He's got another awesome video on Sephiroth. I've avoided it because I didn't want to spoil myself too much. Not because of your quality, Steed. It's more just because I'm trying to, like I said, save a few secrets for myself going into part 3. But anyway, awesome stuff. Really, really cool. Thanks for doing that, Steed. I know that you say that's like crazy. I know we didn't get through all of it, but really, really fascinating. And tell your wife like that she was great. I think everyone in the chat can honestly say that like she was like, there's a part later on that you don't see, but she talks about how she was like a little nervous because the things that he had told her about the community. But I think having that honest, just blunt reaction to how her interpretations of the games and what she thinks is very, very cool. So give her a lot of props, give her a lot of love from all of us here at the Final Fantasy Files and other people on the internet that you see, that are in all the other Final Fantasy communities. But she did a great job, and I think it's cool to hear her perspective. Sometimes we get so far into the weeds when we just talk to everybody online that we keep hearing the same thing. So it's fun to hear a new perspective. And it was super fascinating. So yeah, thanks for also doing the whole stream tonight. That was fun. But yeah, they say thank you so much. Oh, no problem, Steve. Totally awesome. I think it was awesome that you did it. And sorry, I think it's so. You guys speak French too? That's awesome. You probably speak a bunch of languages. Sorry that I thought it was Spanish. I'm a dumb American who only speaks one language. Y'all stayed way too long. No, it was great. I mean, I would keep watching it. I'm having a great time. I just got to get to bed because I got to get the kids to school tomorrow. You know how it is being a parent. Great video, Steed. I'll watch the whole thing later and comment and like as well. Yeah, check it out. It's really great. And leave a comment for her because like let her know that she did great. I think it's good to like leave a comment because a lot of times when people leave comments, it's usually some sort of like negative reaction or whatever. But yeah, especially someone who's not used to putting themselves out there on the internet, they can feel awkward or weird. But I think she's great. And I think it's funny, Steve. Thank you for the super chat. You did not need to do that, but that was like when you said you need to comment on my hair. I thought that was your wife talking about it, like she was coming in, and I said she has lovely hair, but Steed, you also have lovely hair too. A lot of it's on your face, but I relate with you. You know what that's like. So, anyway, oh, you're Moroccan though. Okay, we live in Canada. Very cool. Okay, see, this is just me being naive and stupid. We speak Arabic, French, and English. That's awesome. Well, it was great getting to know you a little bit more too. And videos like this where, you know, you don't have the high production value and you just kind of have your hair down, you're just talking to the camera, I think are cool because it kind of lets us know who the creator is. Steve says, no, I was generally waiting for comments on my own hair. Dude, it's good. You know, love it, man. Embracing it. I have luckily enough hair to last for 3 people, I think, but that's not me bragging. It's just me being like, sometimes I'm always like, I don't know what to do with this thing, and I always hate saying that because people that are like, well, you have hair, so you shouldn't complain, right? But no, you guys are awesome. Very cool. Well, good to get to know you guys a little bit more, and thank you so much. But yeah, go interact with Steve. He does a good job, and he's you're somewhat newer, right? I mean, I don't know how long you've been doing the channel, but super great. Not a humble brag, I'm serious, right? Anyway, go follow Steed, subscribe, do all that good stuff. Drumjod says, right on. I know this some Final Fantasy or some 7 fans actually like Crisis Core a lot. You're replying to Alyssa. I sort of like Crisis Core just because I can't get enough Final Fantasy, but I'm not a fan of it. Yeah, that's kind of the thing, right? You know, so anyway, good night, everybody. I will see you guys if you guys want to. We will be obviously streaming with Jolie on Friday, and we will continue our playthrough of Final Fantasy VII Remake. We are just finishing up Chapter 3 and going into Chapter 4. So get some sleep. Sorry to keep you guys up so late. And we will see you guys in the next stream. See you guys.
There's this infirmity I have that keeps my lips shut, like a needle with thread to my mouth, keeps me all shut up. But I don't wanna have to wait. I wanna be able to say that you're the one for me. You don't know what's going on inside. My heart and my mind have always been so shy, you know. And you wonder why I don't open up my mouth. Babe, I don't know the reason why I can't seem to get any of these words out. Babe, I just don't know. So now there's this problem that exists every time I see you. I just wanna say what's on my mind, but don't have the guts to. So you go walking right along as I stand here wondering what is going on inside your head. You don't know what's going on inside. My heart and my mind have always been so shy, you know. And you wonder why I don't open up my mouth. Babe, I don't know the reason why I can't seem to get any of these words out. Babe, I just don't know. Wanna open up my mouth so I can ask you out. 'Cause there's some things that I can't do. same by myself. And you wonder why I don't open up my mouth. Babe, I don't know the reason why I can't seem to get any of these words out. I don't know. And you wonder why I don't open up my mouth. Babe, I don't know the reason why I can't